Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, and my next guest is again another Joe guy, and we are leading into Joe Fest. So I think we're going to see a good amount of GI Joe people, especially guys that are going, as I mentioned earlier, or on another show, the 2 months before. We're changing up the format, and we're going to have multiple people on at once that are going to be participating at Joe Fest. But anyway. This next guy, he actually helped me get the ZoloCon exclusive uh, Executioner, Grim the Executioner, which I appreciate. I didn't realize, like, you didn't really buy it, you just got it. He didn't want it, and I don't know why, but his hatred for it, I don't know if he really hated it, is my gain. So anyway, without any more wasting of time, my special guest, Joe ARH. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. It's a pleasure to be here, and this is the first time I've been nervous going into a show because I don't know if anybody's told you, but you're kind of a big deal.
I have heard that. And you said you're going to Joe Fest, so you'll find out firsthand just how big it. I'm not joking when I say I can't. I walk down the aisles and people stop me. I'm not the one that started it. Like I'm not like it was Ed and them that said it. So anyway. Thank you, thank you. And again, I hope you're not nervous. I've had a lot of people say that they're really nervous, and then for some odd reason, they're like, "Hey, you know what? You really calmed me down." And hey, we're just can't listen. We're a bunch of nerds talking
Yeah.
toys or
Mhm.
whatever we're going to be talking. So anyway, how are you doing?
Good. Really good. It's starting to warm up finally. I live up on a mountain in northeastern PA, so we can get snow all the way up through the end of April into May. So anytime I get even 1 or 2 days of 60 degrees, I'm very happy. But I'm sure you're well familiar with that where you are. So
Yeah, Michigan. They say that if you're not happy with the weather, wait 5 minutes. It will change. It
Mhm.
went from 70 degrees on Sunday night to in the 20s for the
Yeah,
high. So,
yeah. Mhm.
this is why, and I'm lucky. I have a pretty good immune system. I don't get sick very often, uh, but this is why people get sick. And the temperature goes up and up, down, up, down. At the same
Yeah.
time, if you know you live in an area where it fluctuates, take extra vitamins. Take care of yourself. There's too many people that they don't want to take care of themselves, and you're like, that's kind of on you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We're not getting any younger either. So
No, 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 no. I know when I got back into skating at 40, there were a few guys that were like, well, I'm only like 15 years younger than you. It's not that different. And I'm like, talk to me when you're 40. Now at
yeah.
50, it's like I woke up and it hurt. Like like I woke up. But as I always say, like if I ever wake up and I feel 100%, I know I'm dead. That's just
Yeah, that's fair.
um how's your week been going? Pretty good so far, I hope.
Yeah, very good. I got in some figures that I've been waiting on and looking forward to, and some real surprises like the command unit from Monster Force was really a surprise for me with how much extra stuff he came with and how good he was. I saw, your take on him, and
Did you have the first Phantom Core figure?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um Now I want another one. Just because it's
yeah.
cheaper than I actually have two of the other one. I haven't decided if I want to keep it or get rid of it. But there's so much stuff that you can do, like total different loadouts, and it, in
Mhm.
my opinion, probably is the best like military style figure. When you look at just pure military.
Yes. Yeah, I think I might take my second command unit and send it to Uncle Clutch and have him do a version of me, and he's going to customize it so that it'll be my character. So it'll be fun.
I feel like there's probably a few head sculpts that would match yours pretty
Yeah.
good, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, no, yeah, those figures are really good, and their military guys are just. I mean, they're spot on. Um,
And this week, hopefully I get my forbidden fruit item. I also have become an avid collector of the Sesame Street line from NECA. It is like it gets me and endless, ribbing from the guys, but I think they're great. I do.
you know what?
I
I
don't.
I got that elf figure, a few years ago, and that figure had no right being as good as it was.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's fun. It's fun. I've had him with shotguns. I've had him singing and with plunderlings and stuff like that. It sometimes you just find amusement in certain things. I have the two old guys from the Muppets right next to me.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yes,
Yes.
I bought them years ago. The company from Diamond. They were a Diamond, and they just sit there because they always made me laugh. And going to Disney this year, I believe they got rid of that attraction,
Mhm.
which sucks because even though it was old, I always had fun. I always had fun going there. If it was hot, you got to cool down a little bit. I'm not sure if you've ever been there, but
Mhm.
I always enjoyed it. It was stupid,
For sure.
and then the old
Yeah.
guys, and so
No, Muppets, Sesame Street, all that stuff, it may not be prominently displayed, but it was part of my youth. The old Muppet Show was such a part of my youth, that I think, you kind of yearn for that. I think the newest Muppet Show that was just on, it was like a one-time
amazing.
special.
It was great.
Eh, what, you liked it too?
I loved it. But we talked
Okay.
about Circle of Jerks, and like
Yeah.
it it hit all the feels. I don't know if
Mhm.
I don't believe the beginning was the same as before. I believe they
Mhm.
updated it, but it was the
Mhm.
same. Like you can't hear that song and not be in a good mood. You're a
Yes.
miserable SOB if you hear the Muppet song and you don't get excited.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And, so, to kind of get back to your question about how my week has been, last week I finished one dio that's been going on seemingly forever, and now I can start on my new Arctic one, and hopefully that'll be done in time for the snowcat to get here. And
Well,
I
I
mix
hope so.
lines. I
I
mix
yeah,
lines.
I hope so because sometimes we're gonna see people complaining about when snowcat comes, and they're gonna be like, "It's so late," and you're gonna be like, "Man, they say 12 to 18 months. Like that's
Mhm.
how these things come."
Yeah.
And it funded late,
Mhm.
unlike the Hiss, Dragonfly, and the Rattler, where they were like, "Well, we can get going on this." They had to wait on that before they could put everything into motion. But let's quickly say hi to the chat. There's 21 people watching right now. Maybe we
Nice.
won't because there we go. My mouse was up for a second. We got Evo Dookie jumping in here saying Punk and Joe. We got Uncle Clutch, HK Viper, Machine Man. We have Matthew Matson, my moderator with his. Sometimes you just get off flustered with your words, but people watch me, they know what they're getting. Lady Spartan is here. We got Viper Scout, Command Wolf. You hear the wolf, I put the L and people get mad if I don't say that. 3-star draw, Nolan, which makes us Toy Tube official. Let's see, Paul Morales has joined us. I know there's a few other people. I saw some people that I don't think I've seen before. Action Figs, my other moderator, saying, "Damn, tuned into Thursday with a friend, and Punk is talking about him." I'm kind of a big deal, man. And you'll all find that out soon enough, believe me. Krusty Old Crows here. I hate, when you do this alone, it's a lot easier. When you're with someone, you're like, are they getting bored as I try and go through everyone? Cooter's Garage has joined us. Cooter's Garage is like everyone was like, you'll know him when you see him. He has like his overalls. Fun guy, man. Fun guy for sure.
Nice.
Um, It is great meeting all these different people. We got Stanley Eberhardt. I believe this is Stanley Everhart the third. Playing with my new laptop, trying to upload my 40 avatar. Um, and then we have Sean Jones. Oh, Stanley was the one that I was like, I don't think I've seen that person. But then I read the whole thing and went, oh, that's Stanley. Anyway, do you mind me asking, how old are you?
So I am getting to be 50
Okay, you're young.
this year. Yeah. Uh, and you know, it's you start feeling it. I think the last 2 or 3 years, you start to feel like, okay, there's certain things that I used to do, or I can't do them as well, or I don't bounce back as fast as I used to.
You know, those people that say age is just a number, I'm like, you're young, right? Like, it is a number to a point, but
Yeah.
when I would say something like, you know, skating at 45 or 46 or whatever, skateboarding, like they're like age is just a number, and you're like, yeah, it is, but it's not. Like
Hmm.
your knees don't feel the same when you slam. It doesn't. It takes longer to heal. Um,
Yeah.
and people, again, it's the people that don't do anything. Oh, age is just a number. Like, all right, well, try and work out like you used to, and tell me that age is just a number, because you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't think this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of jumped over, and I assume your name is, again, it's kind of cut and dry, but
Mhm.
what is up with the Joe ARH?
So, my name actually is Joe. So I was looking for some kind of handle that hasn't already been done. Like there are 1,000 Joes. You've got Yorktown Joe, you've got this guy, this Joe, that Joe. So I'm like, okay, what about Joe ARAH? Let's just do a Joe ARAH. People who like GI Joe will know it's a real American hero. It's easy. It's short. It can go on a sticker.
But you're not just a real American hero collector,
Cor-
correct?
Correct, correct. That's where it started when I got back into it, and the way I got back into it was almost 2 years ago. I got this brilliant idea because I had given my wife different toys from when we were children over the years. And I'm like, I'm going to make this a nostalgic Christmas tree for the weeks leading up to Christmas. So we're going to just pack it with like Care Bears, Cabbage Patch Kids, strawberry shortcake, the Red Rider BB gun, Legos, whatever we can chuck under there. And I'm like, G.I. Joe was such a huge part of my
Oh,
childhood.
hey, he meant Lego, not Legos. We know there's no S. I don't want to get Lego
Yes.
people mad. All right. Sorry, I
Uh-huh.
just don't want to
Yes.
interrupt you, but I don't want to make
Yep.
Lego people mad. There's no S on
Lego.
it.
Lego. So I got Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, and that was when I discovered Classified. I didn't even know that was going on for the last 6 years or 4 years at that point in time. Um, and I'm like, oh, let me see what else they have, and then it just became one after another, and away we went. And then Eric Hillbilly Harper from Podcast from the Pit said, have you looked at Monster Force? I'm like, what's that? So then I started collecting Monster Force, and you know, um, I tried to stay true to GI Joe, but there's just so much interesting stuff. And then when I got into building the dioramas and backgrounds and things like that, then I started discovering, oh, I can get this set piece from Mythic Legions. I'm gonna get this, and then oh, they have all this other stuff. So it's a bit of a mess at times.
I think that's, again, I have arguments or discussions with people, and I say I think most Joe collectors are just that. They're GI Joe
Mhm.
collectors. They're
Yeah.
not toy collectors, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the difference is, like, they don't understand pricing, and the fact that, now, again, I'm not really going to get in. I'm not really going to defend $43 for the new Special Forces figure. It's ridiculous.
That is
Um,
ridiculous.
but when people were complaining that $55 was too much for the Super 7 GI Joe figures, the issue wasn't that they were complaining that the price is that high and they're poorly made. They were saying $55 is too much for a toy. Look at these
Hmm.
classifieds that are $20. And it's like you're in two different things. Because again, you go buy a Mezco and you spend 115 bucks. There are plenty of people that say I'd never spend 115 bucks on a figure, and that's understandable, but there
Hmm.
is a difference.
Yeah.
Normally, quality is way different. And also, you look at a much larger company that does a run of 50,000 compared to one that does a run of 5,000. Guess which one costs more to make?
Hmm.
You know,
Well, I agree completely. Now I'm not going to say I've become more discerning. I'm a little bit more diversified in what I pick
yeah.
up, and there has to be a reason, and there also has to be a certain amount of value. Like, certain Mythic Legions are a little bit more expensive, but they come with so many set pieces and things that I can use in other figures and do things with that the value is there. So, take that against something that is a repaint of a repaint of a repaint, and they're including less accessories. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
and you do think like when they repaint something, they reuse something, like you should this is where you should give a little bit more. But this is where they look at it, hey, this is where I'm recouping my money. And again,
Mhm.
a lot of people think when I say stuff like this that I'm saying that I'm okay with it. No, I'm just letting you know how companies work. And if you want companies
Yeah.
to survive, this is what they do. And it's funny how
Mhm.
people get so mad about the reuse. And it's like, did you guys forget what Masters of the Universe was when we were kids? There was like
Oh,
three different arms. Like
yes.
they were all the same. You either had
Yep.
webbed hands or you had regular hands, right? Like there was very, very little difference.
Hmm.
And even GI Joe, like they reused a lot. Like at the first wave, they repainted. They did a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
And now, yeah, there's more reusing parts now, but there's also more overlays and different things like that where you create different characters. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think, again, when you're talking to just a regular Joe guy and he doesn't collect Marvel Legends, and I see these people and they're like, I'm not spending that much. I'm not spending $50 on, the Pulse Premium when I only get a couple things. And it's like, you understand if you collect Transformers and Black Series and, you know, you know, Marvel Legends, like you get free shipping on that too. You get
Hmm.
early offers on that stuff too. So yeah, if you're just a Joe guy, maybe it's not worth it for you, but not all of us are like that.
Right.
And it does
Right.
lead again when you get into toy collecting, it does lead down a road that you're like, how do I have the money for this?
Agreed. I was actually you know just in a discussion group today with Shark Eyes, who gets everything early, about the
Well, he's like 6 months ahead of us, so
he is, yes, yes. About the Night Creeper, right? And he's like, I thought you said you weren't on board with it. And I said, look, I really don't want the damn thing, but it's going to be part of a story I'm trying to tell down the road here. So, the $27, even though I'm not great on what the figure is, it's going to advance my story. So I don't mind, getting one or two.
and,
So.
and that is huge, especially you see people that don't like it. And again, I'm very honest about like hey, I wish they weren't making I wish they were not making Cobra Law, but I'm collecting it all. I don't have a problem admitting that, but at the same time, the stuff they've done is wonderful. Like they have made it
Mhm.
really nice. And again, that Royal Guard I have three of them.
Mhm.
I if you would have told me I was gonna have three Royal Guards, let alone three, Cobra Law figures, I'd have been like, yeah, no, I'll skip that. But I'm not like that. I have issues.
Well, I even picked up 2 of the Dire Vipers, 100% reuse, all kinds of the same parts, but I liked what they had done with it, and I could see it going into the story I wanted to
Yes.
tell or my display. So if you make it interesting, people don't mind and people won't notice as much.
I've never talked to Lenny about this, but when you look at like Crystal Ball and the Dire Vipers, the whole Dire thing, if you want to use that for Operation Monster Force, you can. You look at the Cobra Law. If you want to put that with, let's say, your Savage Crucibles or your Mythic Legions, you can. You can find a
Mhm,
way to work that in, or obviously Operation Monster Force, where they're monsters, right? So
mhm,
you can find ways to use it, but even within just the GI Joe lore, you have the whole dire tech, and you can put it with their zombies, what they're doing with that, or you can put it with your Cobra Law, or you could just, hey, it's this magical guy and he does weird things because that's what GI Joe is. Even though I may
mhm.
bitch about a lot of it that I don't like, and there's probably guys right now just typing away like I've heard about you. Like I understand, I don't like the GI Joe movie because I hated Cobra Law, but I buy all the stuff.
And again, like it is about the quality, right? You don't always have to like the figure or like the story or the sub team, but if it's a good figure as a collector, you're gonna pick it up.
And that's when you become a toy collector and not just a GI Joe collector or Marvel Legends collector, whatever,
Mhm.
you find yourself picking up just good figures. You know,
Yes.
my biggest thing was everyone kept telling me you need to get a Mythic Legion figure, and I did. And then people said like, "Oh, that you should got a newer one. That's an older one." And I thought it was actually pretty good. Now I
Mhm,
still can't get off the fact that their articulation is awful, but their
mhm,
paints, their accessories, what you get with it, it looks amazing. And I'm not buying it for that. But I tell everyone, I'm like, if you're a toy collector, you should have a Mythic Legion or some sort of Four Horsemen. It could be, the figure obscure or whatever, but just get
mhm.
to feel what it is. Same with Savage Crucibles, amazing figures. Uh, and again, you can go with the Hasbro, and it's like everyone knows what Hasbro is, right? Like, again, you either like them or you don't, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you like X Men, you're buying Hasbro stuff, all right. Very few people are going like, I love X Men, but I only buy Mafex, and
Mhm.
and uh, the other one that I hate. Yeah, Mezco. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right, we really skipped all over. So, do you mind me? What was your family life like? Where were you born at? Did you have siblings? Were your parents together?
Yes. So I was born and raised in New Jersey. My entire life was a Bruce Springsteen song. Um, I was in North Jersey, so I was north of Bruce and all that. But it, you know, as you get older, you learn more about like, you look at as you're growing up, you're like, I have it pretty good. I have it pretty good. And then, sometimes you get to look back and say, "Ah, maybe it wasn't perfect, but my parents were together. I had one younger sister, and we didn't suffer. We didn't want for anything. Um, but my dad worked a lot, a lot. He was working most of the time. So
Okay.
so I created my own worlds.
So no built-in play friends, right? Like no.
No, no, no.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people. I know I didn't have like built-in play friends, but I lived in condos, so there was always kids around.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of people I talked to, like they had a brother that was a year or two older or younger, or maybe a couple. Like you have your built-in play friends, and then there's
Yeah.
the other guys that are like, yeah, I didn't have anyone. And that was we went out in the woods, and I was
Hmm.
out there for hours playing with my own GI Joe, and that was that was your childhood, or He Man, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't have to be GI Joe. Um, so I always like to know like how that all came about. Um,
So
so
when I was in grade school, which is normally, when you it's the time when you're playing with other kids, and you're like, look what I got, look at what he's got, like, and everybody's excited after Christmas to get back together again. I had one really good friend, his name was Andy, and he was a GI Joe. Well, he was a Star Wars guy, then a GI Joe guy, because he had an older brother. But he and I would do that. We would play with our GI Joes together, and create battles. We would also run off into the woods with our dads. Both of us, our fathers were in the military, so we had the web belts from when they came back. And Andy had some really other interesting things that I probably shouldn't talk about that his dad brought back. But we had a lot of fun in the woods and played army. So it was a good time. He was a really good friend and still is to this day. I actually sent him uh, a junkyard set for Christmas this year. So, and he was like, "Holy cow! I put it right up on the shelf. My wife is so tweaked."
Well, I got my, I think everyone's heard my aircraft carrier story and the 8 shipwrecks, but I bought my dad for his birthday the classified shipwreck. And my dad, like, he loves John Wayne. So, but watching my dad like open it, he was like this, and my dad never had like any type of emotion, and he was like so excited that he has a sailor here, and he remembered the ship. I don't think he remembers the story like I do, but he remembered having all the shipwrecks, and it's still just sitting there covered in dust because he doesn't dust. And it's
Hmm.
like it's it's just like sitting there. And when I watched him, he was like so excited, and I didn't expect that from him. I just wanted to get it for him because I was kind of like, I'm not gonna buy 8 of them and give them to him. um,
Right.
but yeah, that goes like that type of stuff goes a long way. Now, do you remember what was your first memory of your like the first toy you played with? Not what you fell in love with, but like the
Right.
first toy that you played with. And again,
So
we're in that age group that there's certain things that most of us that come up a lot, I guess is the best way to say it.
So the very first toy memory I have is a Tonka truck. It was like a Bronco that you could take the wheels off and swap the wheel like you were changing a tire. It was like a wing nut on the back wheel or on the wheels where you could swap tires. I love that. But the first toy that kind of became more toys and all worked together was what I called He-Man, and it is now called Motu.
It was okay, so it was always called Master of the Universe. But when I got back into collecting and everyone kept talking about Motu, and finally I was on something. What the fuck is Motu? And they're like Master of the Universe, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, they didn't call it that when we were kids, and they're like, yeah, it was always called Master Universe. No, it was called He-Man. You go back and look, it was like, oh, it was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Hmm. I mean, that what a I don't have like I have some very good memories, very vivid memories, and there's a lot of blank spaces growing up. I don't know if that's just a function of getting older or not, but um, I distinctly remember watching He-Man, Voltron, GI Joe at my friend's house. Um, and you could hear like the older brothers like playing 1984 Van Halen's 1984 up in their room, just blaring that. And uh, but it was what a time, to be a kid. Was the 80s. I don't know that there's ever been a time since that has been that amazing.
I think, watching through my kids' eyes and how they are, I think I think every generation is gonna say, my childhood was the best. No one's ever gonna, and I understand that. Um, but I agree, and I agree on many because of many things. It's like it was before the internet, which
Mhm.
that's kind of a negative, but it's also a positive. We had so many different toy lines. We had so many cartoons that were just big long commercials for the most part. we were the first generation that were really getting real toys, not just wooden cars or metal cars and some, sloppy figures. Or again, the GI Joes were 12 inches. Try and go and play with 12-inch figures, and again, that's something for the bedroom these days. Um, then I guess so are 6 and 7-inch figures, uh, or toys. But
6 inches is fine, Lawrence. 6 inches is fine.
I am a big fan of the 3.75. Not gonna lie. Um, so it's how I determine my the girls I date. I'm like, which ones do you like more? And if they pick the 6 inch, I'm like, we might not be right for each other.
I don't know if this is going to work out.
um, but like that time, there was a huge thing because we were able to go out and we went and played, and you know, a huge change, and this is gonna be a damper on the show, is the movie Adam. And
Hmm.
I can remember my mom making me sit down and watch Adam. And I can remember watching it. And one of the last scenes that you see him, there's an end cap of G.I. Joe. I'm like, oh my God, look at the G.I. Joe, right? And again, when you look back now and we know everything, there was lots of abducted kids before that were also unfortunately had a similar fate, but we didn't know about it. That was like the first. And we used to go to Kmart. I just watched the whole thing on the downfall of Kmart, the rise and downfall of Kmart. I just watched the other thing again. I got it on YouTube. I don't watch toys, but I watched the thing on Tonka, right? But the rise and falls of Kmart. And I don't know if you had the Kmart's or the Walmart, whatever you had.
Mhm.
You walked in and you went, I'm going to the toy section, and your parents said, okay, we'll pick you up in like a half hour, and you'd sit there for a half hour or an hour. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine leaving my 5-year-old in a toy aisle these days. I don't have a 5-year-old, but
Mm-mm.
when my kids were 5, I there's no way that I'm leaving them, and for good reason. It
Yeah.
sucks that we don't have that anymore.
Well, our parent, our mothers were watching like Phil Donahue. It was like Satanic Panic, White Vans, metal music. It's a wonder that we survived. If you look at from a certain point of view, it was like I thought quicksand was going to be a bigger deal as an adult.
Holy crap!
Sate.
Okay, so I just saw a short where there was a guy in quicksand, and it's one of the girls that always does like stuff like from Gen X, and she's like, this is a millennium, or this is a millennial because Gen Xers have been preparing our whole life for
Yes.
falling in quicksand and how we would get out of it.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie, I thought quicksand was gonna be a bigger deal
Hmm.
because of probably
Absolutely.
MacGyver and stuff.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
going out and playing army, playing guns, like first
Hmm.
off, I'd never let my kid run around with a toy gun right now because it's just unsafe. Um, Back then, you were running around with M16s and AK-47s and pistols that looked as realistic as anything, but
Hmm.
cops weren't worried about it. And again, different day and age. But you could go ride your bike. But you talked about the whole like it's amazing we survived. Um, Not only do I look back at like skateboarding, I didn't wear a helmet or whatever, but skateboard is something I love. So I was pretty good at skateboarding, and that you learn how to fall and everything. But jumping off the top of the school, and we had like an overhang, I would jump off. It's like 10 feet. I jump off like and I didn't think anything about it. Um, the jumping of bikes, that's the true one. Like how did more people not get severely hurt? Why is there not more brain damage? Because nobody was wearing helmets. But hey,
No.
let's put this piece of wood up to this garbage can and we're gonna launch.
I I I agree. I mean, and fireworks. We were able to procure fireworks from our
Ooh.
local shady retailers, and kids in school, that wore jean jackets. But I remember distinctly firing bottle rockets off the top of a cliff. We had a cliff that overhung like a warehousing area, and we'd fire these bottle rockets trying to blow, and we ended up blowing off like the vent hoods like with these bottle rockets and stuff. And I'm like, if my kid did that, like I wouldn't even know how to punish them right now in this day and age. But I can tell you how I got punished.
I
It's,
I don't know where Uncle Clutch was playing. He says we dug punji pits in the woods. I blame TV and parenting. Okay, so you know how like people give it when you're a kid, you get in a sometimes you get in an irrational fear of something because of something you saw.
Mhm.
I have probably to this day an irrational fear of punji sticks because of the movie Green Berets, right? Because at the end, where the guy that's like he's helping that kid out, he gets caught and he gets thrown up against it. And there's other punji because they foreshadow that throughout that
Mhm.
movie. Okay, and if you've never seen Green Berets, my dad is a huge John Wayne fan, like I already mentioned. It was the first pro Vietnam movie, and
Mhm.
I have an irrational fear of bungee sticks because of that. And before anyone says anything, I don't have an irrational fear of spiders. I have a perfectly fine rational fear of spiders. um, but no, yeah, like our generation, I'm gonna agree. Like it was the best time to be a kid, uh, to go out and do stuff because you had so much. But I also do believe watching my kids grow up, watching other generations in the 90s and talking to kids, like they have the exact same feel. I mean, they're wrong, but
At least with the things that we feared, you could face them. I think that today's kids, they can't even face a lot of the things that they fear or the things that are like we had bullies, right? But they were face to face bullies.
yeah,
These kids are dealing like with bullies that are faceless, nameless, anonymous people on the interwebs,
you're
and
absolutely,
they can't drive over to their house on their bike and kick the snot out of them. Like we could do that.
and when two kids fought, they fought, one won, one lost, and then it was it. You
Yep.
avoided each other. We were in Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts. It wasn't Boy Scouts yet, but it was like Cub Scouts. And there was one kid that none of us liked. But two guys, like the one kid and the other kid, they did not like each other. And they were gonna fight. And we were all on the one side of the one kid. And they were supposed to meet the fight, and he wasn't there. And like we were like walking back, and here he comes on his bike and he jumped off his bike and he beat the living shit out of our friend. And that was it. Like,
Mhm.
all right, Mark, you beat the shit out of Steve. It's over. Like, like Steve Martin, actually, that's what the kids I don't know if Steve Martin's in here right now, but
I was gonna say, is it that Steve Martin?
I don't think it was this Steve Martin, but it could have been.
Yeah.
But and that was it. Like we didn't jump in. We didn't jump in and start, jumping on Mark. I was like, oh well, Steve, you said you could kick his ass, and well, he proved you couldn't. Now, in Mark's, well, in Steve's defense, Mark was riding about 100 miles an hour on his bike, and when he jumped off, he was still running the exact same speed.
Uh-huh.
um, but you're right. Today you can't do that,
No.
and the bullies are, they're online, and sometimes you never see them, and you know, keyboard warrior. It's. I think we all agree it is a real thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so you kind of talked about what you remembered, and you brought Tonka up, and I just watched the whole thing on Tonka and how they came to be, and then when Hasbro bought them, and what they did to it. It's a fascinating
Mhm.
story.
It
um,
is.
it is fascinating, but how they used to last forever, and then Hasbro was like, let's make them plastic. They'll buy
Mhm.
it every year. Uh, what was the first property that you remember falling in love with? Was it Motu?
Much to my father's chagrin, it was Motu. It was Motu, and my father was not a huge sci-fi, barbarians and ghouls and ghosts and things like that. Um, so I was heavy into that, and I pretty much collected everything to do with that, and I kept that in boxes until my kids were of age. Um, but then I was ushered almost directly into GI Joe, and my first GI Joe I found at the local. It was called a community pool, but basically it was a big sand pit that they filled up every year, and everybody went swimming there. It was a sand pit, is what it was, and someone had
You really
left
are
a.
from New Jersey.
Yep, yep. I am. I am. And why deny it? It's the truth. But I found a straight armed breaker, and when my father saw that I was so enthralled with this little 3 3/4 straight arm breaker, he's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is a GI Joe. Like, what poor son of a bitch left this behind? Like, this is gold." And did it when my father was full bore into acquiring GI Joe stuff. So.
So you basically you came across a figure in the sandbox or pool or whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it,
Hmm. Yep.
and that was it. Like you saw this. Like what was it about that?
I think a lot of most of the people in my grade school did not like He-Man or Masters of the Universe.
You can call it
They
He-Man. I'm fine with that. Believe me.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, most of the kids I grew up with, like there was one or two kids out of the entire group of friends that liked it, and whereas everybody else went from Kenner Star Wars directly into GI Joe, and watching the vehicles and the things that were coming, on their birthdays and at Christmas. And I was like, holy smokes, this is amazing. Like, He-Man had vehicles and things like that, but
There's a lot.
like there was it was more fantasy. And I guess as you're becoming a young man, you start to watch Rambo and A-Team. Like, those were all shows that I really enjoyed, so I think that all fed into it, and maybe also wanting to be part of the crowd. I mean, you're 5, 6, 7 years old. You wanna play with the other kids too.
Oh, for sure. And again, like it is. I'm always interested to see like I'm always interested to hear what made somebody like something, and even if they
Mhm,
know what it is, that's the
mhm,
biggest thing. It's like I mean, I tell everyone about skateboarding. I'm like, I hope everyone in their life has something they love as much as I love skateboarding. I could sit here and I could, and again, people have watched my shows before, and I could talk about skateboarding with someone. I can't explain why I love skateboarding. Like I can tell you, but for me to get on that board and just roll around, like there's never been a feeling. Toys don't touch it, other than my kids, and sometimes they don't even make me as happy as skateboarding. It's like I hope, and I think a lot of musicians are that way. They pick up their
mhm,
guitar and they're in a completely different world. You're
mhm.
everything is just it's eliminated.
Yeah.
Um, and I love to hear when people like if it's Transformers, it's like, well, what was it about Transformers? Or Turtles is a big one because that was after my time. And
Mhm,
whether
mhm.
it be the comic that they saw or seeing, the cartoon, and that's where I remember seeing. I remember seeing the comic, and it was like towards. I mean, that was after my time, and then seeing this black and white comic that they had blood and everything was different, and they're like, "Oh, it's like that's nothing like that cartoon that is on when I get home from school."
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear like what
It's
people like what it is that they saw that made them fall in love with something.
So it's funny that you bring up the comic, because when I got full bore into GI Joe, I was more of a Sunbow kid. However, my father I did not like getting haircuts as a child. I don't know if any child is like, I can't wait to get a haircut, but I know me specifically, I'm like, you know what, forget it. Want no part of it. He said, there's a store. It was a newsstand store. It was like a deli newsstand. Um, and he said, I'll get you some comic books if you just get your damn haircut. And I said, okay. And I have the original comic to this day. It's in a box over there somewhere, but I also got one. This was my first comic book ever, ever.
Okay.
And this got me like really hooked on it. Like I said, I saw the figures and everything, but reading through it and looking at the story, it was like, this is a whole world. This is amazing.
I mean, I'm the wrong person to say this because I'm always, when someone says the book is better, I always go, I'm always like, if the book was that good, they make it into a movie because I don't like reading. But
No.
comics immerses you so much more, and you see what they're doing, and again, they tell a story of specific characters, and then you
Mhm.
have the file card, and then your head canon, and then there's a little bit of the Sunbow that you may think is kind of cool, but at the same time, you're like, you gave me Cobra La. Um,
So, the interesting thing about the comics were that they included like behind the scenes stuff. I don't know if you like behind the scenes, like those little documentaries and stuff they put on with, digital and DVDs and Blu-rays, but in the comic books, they had like every level of the pit, like a
yes,
schematic of the pit. Those kinds of things to me was like I was being led into a secret world. Like now I know how that works. Like
they
this is
gave you
amazing.
ideas for what you were doing because I mean, I've discussed it before. I'd spend hours upon hours building a GI Joe base, and then half hour
Mhm.
destroying it, or a Cobra base.
Yeah.
And you spend all these hours, but you get these ideas from stuff like that, where it's like, oh, hey,
Mhm.
this pit has multiple levels. How can I do something like this? We
Yes.
weren't building dials. I'm looking, you're looking at your dresser, and how can I move my dresser over here, create enough room that I can put my vehicles and fit my little body behind it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I might have used stands back then. I don't remember. No, no, and I just I like hearing that, like just the story of what got you into what, and um, because everyone again, like we're not all the same,
Yeah.
and the fact that you found some little figure and that was it. And again, I told
Mhm.
people I was I can remember what I was doing the first time I saw a GI Joe commercial. I'm sitting, I can picture the TV on a TV stand that I don't know how much the TV weighed, but I can promise you that TV stand had no business supporting that TV. All right. It's again, here's where I'm gonna offend some people. It's like, sometimes you have to let women know stretch pants the style, it's not a challenge. Um, same thing. Sorry for the people I just offended. But I can remember like I was sitting there playing with my Star Wars. I had my snow speeder, and I had my Lone Ranger and Tonto. Saw the GI Joe commercial. Turned around to my dad and said, "Can I get one of those?" And he said, "We'll see." The fact that I can remember exactly how I was sitting and everything, it just again when you look back at it, it's like, yep, you should have known that this was going to be something that will be in your life for the next 40 years.
Yep. Yeah. And, there's a period of time where, you know, you get away from something that was such a big part of you. Um, oh gosh, setting up the battles? Yeah, Darren. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's there was a guy Mike that him and I would play Cobra for weeks, and there'd be a couple GI Joes that would be like captured, but we just play Cobra. There's a lot of
Oh.
traitorism going on there.
Well, and there was a camaraderie, amongst the kids that were collecting GI Joes too. Like it was always, if there was one amongst them that wasn't able to get a character, the others would get together. Listen, I'll trade you this guy for this guy. We're going to get him the one that he wants. And
What kind of world you lived in?
so it was a good world. That was a good world. Most of the time, it was only baseball cards and such that everybody became shysters. Everybody started like just wiping everybody else out, you know. And the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card was the biggest scam in baseball card history, as far as I'm concerned. Um,
This might shock you guys, but if I wanted a GI Joe, I probably had it. There's very few that I didn't have. Like I do look back at a couple. Like I don't know why I never had the Ram cycle, but I never had it. I must not have really asked for it.
mm,
There's a few
yeah.
that I'm like, I never had the Whirlwind, and I don't know why. When you have the Terradrome and the and all the big vehicles, and you're like, how come I didn't have the Ram cycle?
Yeah, I don't. I had odd holes in my like when it came to vehicles. Like I would have the whale. I had the whale. I had the tactical battle platform. I had the moray. Um, but I didn't have any of the small stuff. I didn't have an armadillo. Never had a vamp. Didn't have. I had a tomahawk, but I didn't have a dragonfly. It was
But some of those
bizarre.
were earlier too, and until you
Yeah.
really real like until your parents know what you're really into, maybe that's
Mhm.
maybe that's it. That's the only, I guess I didn't have the Whirlwind and I didn't have the Ram cycle, and I never had the jump jet pack. I never had that for some reason.
I think
But
I mailed away for that one, the jump jet pack.
I can look at series two and be like, I had all that. And I look at series
Yeah.
three and be like, but you're right, there were some little vehicles like I never had. Like I never had the bomb disposal. I still don't have. I still have never had the bomb disposal. I still have my original armadillo, which I still call a mini tank because I think armadillo is a dumb name. Um,
I have a classified armadillo.
I do not have one yet, but eventually they'll make one. I'm
Oh,
sorry, Sam's
it's
Hobby hasn't done that yet.
so Rowdy Toys did one and it looks injection molded. It looks amazing in person. I got the water slide decals for it. Oh,
Wait,
I
they
did.
did a plastic mold injection one.
So he says it's 3D printed. I don't see how that's 3D printed because there is legitimately no lines in it whatsoever. Like I have some other 3D printed things and I have a 3D printer, but I've never seen it come out like that.
Viper Scout says because they didn't come with figures. That
Mm,
that's a good possibility because if you're able to get like one vehicle and one figure, you might be looking at like, well, why would I get a vehicle and just one figure when I can get a vehicle and the figure? But
mhm.
anyway, so as you start going on, you go through elementary school, you go into middle school, are you still playing with toys or are you kind of shifting away from it?
I can tell you the exact moment that I shifted away from it. And let's see, that would be I actually brought helpful aids. So at the time that these albums came out was the time that I left toys. I blame music and MTV that suddenly, all of a sudden, I was firing on all cylinders. And I'm like, okay, we got girls, music. These are the most important things in life now. And that was about the time that I started to leave it behind.
so
But
so yeah, that would be middle school, right? That would be
yeah, yeah,
because that
yeah.
Guns N' Roses was right around, might have been around fifth grade for me.
Hmm.
But again, that was back when, like, again, like albums would be out for quite some time. I mean, obviously, albums are out for a long time now, forever
Yeah.
actually. Um, but that, those
Hmm.
albums, there's a lot of hits that came off of that.
Oh yeah. And looking back on it now, I and I still enjoy that music. but it was a phase, right, of life. And um, that's
You,
kind of what turned me on to
so
other things.
when you say it's a phase of life, what do you mean?
So, this was kind of the excess of the 80s. And then as I went into high school, I discovered punk rock, like true punk rock,
Okay.
ska music, all of that, um, which was a very, very different kind of music. And
Well,
grunge was what destroyed metal.
and see so that's the reason why I was asking that, because when someone says that, this music here was a phase of mine, like I am a punk rocker. I
Hmm.
I discovered Circle Jerks, um, the Misfits. Although I'm not a huge Misfits fan, Circle Jerks still one of my favorite bands to this day. Like it was never a phase for me. I still listen to it.
Hmm.
I still have, you know, Bad Religion and Pennywise, and I mean I can remember finding all these epitaph bands. A lot of them came through skateboarding, and that's what I was asking when you said it. I realized it was a phase. So you're basically saying like you found this like this hair metal, and that's what it
Hmm.
is. To be honest,
Hmm.
it's hair
Yep.
metal. Guns N'
Yep.
Roses are a little bit more than just hair metal, but I can
By
listen
that
to Guns
much. By that much.
N' Roses have still have some really good songs. I saw a
Hmm.
Warrant,
Hmm.
and all I could
With
think
or
was,
without,
"What?"
with or without Janie Lane.
I did. I just saw no. I just saw your Warrant thing.
Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
I just saw
Okay.
it, and I was like, that was never good music. Hey, you can like it. Hey, before I get the
Yeah.
haters, you can like it, but it's not good music. But so you found that, and that was more of a you said a phase, because I assume that was more of a conduit for you finding, like you said, punk rock. Probably
Hmm.
did you find heavy, like actual thrash metal, heavy metal, or did you not? You went right to ska, which was, and then you said grunge, which is not my favorite genre.
Yeah. So I would say that high school, it transitioned from, hair metal and metal because, we picked up like Metallica in their long hair, my friend's older brother. Um, and so that was kind of high school was metal and that. And then kind of towards the end of high school, it was more punk rock,
Okay,
ska, and everything else.
because I know I found like Circle Jerks. It's a band called Doggy Style, which took me forever to find later on. Misfits, Bad Brains.
Hmm.
Because my cousin and a friend, like a couple friends of mine, they knew what it was, and them obviously being in the skateboarding. But for me, it was more like metal, like Anthrax, Slayer, Exodus, Testament. It
Hmm.
started with that, and then it shifted to that punk rock. And again, you'll know this during a specific time of the 90s. You didn't realize how much metal was influenced by punk rock, but if you were in the scene, you knew punk rockers hated metal.
Hmm.
And not the same, like when you look back and you find out, like, not the people playing the music, but the people you're going to shows with, like, they didn't really like, what is this Anthrax? And then you
Hmm.
kind of shift away from it. And but the punk rock, like I said, that's why I was interested to hear what you were saying about how it was a phase, because I can
Yeah.
see what you're saying there. And then you shift into now. Do you still listen to, like, punk and all that type of stuff?
I still listen to all of that, and now more than ever, I find it important to seek out and collect physical media. So, now people are going to be like, he's just a hoarder. He's not just a collector. He hoards. He's got vinyl. He's got toys. Like, but
Man,
I'm one of those. I like having it. I like having it. The internet. If Apple tomorrow decides, you know what, I'm going to up the cost again on you, I could be like, no, I'm just going to go listen to my vinyl and play my CDs. Thanks. It was
yeah,
convenient, but
I if it can't fit on this, I don't want it. But I have all my music saved onto it. Like I'm not just
Hmm.
using Spotify and stuff like that. Like, because people are like, "You have your music on it?" I'm like, "I do," because I don't know when it's gonna scroll back, or if I want to hear an early Sick of It All album or Pennywise or whatever, I can just
Hmm.
click on it and there it is. And there were ways for it. There were some ways to get the music without paying for it. Kind of feel bad because you like these bands and you're like, I'm not really supporting you, I guess. But I go to your shows, so there's that.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest tragedies of my parents losing their house, back during the '08 was I had left a vinyl album for Catch 22. It was the Keysby Nights album at their house, and it's gone forever, and you can't find it anywhere. Uh, so if anyone out there has a Catch 22 Keysby Nights vinyl, let me know. But like Social Distortion, Pennywise, The Descendants, like all of those were ones that I moved into when I was late high school, in college.
You graduated what, 95? Because you said you're about to turn 50, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you're
So,
like, yeah, right in that same era. And again, like I know for us, the way we found music through skateboard videos. And I
mhm,
watched an old video. I was watching this old thing where they were talking about like it was Epitaph. It was something about Epitaph, and they said, um, oh no, I think it was about skateboarding, but it also turned into music, and they were saying like these people wanted us to pay to use songs, and somebody knew Brett Gurwitz, Bad Religion and owner of Epitaph, and they said, do you have any music you could send us? And he was like, yeah, here. And then he said, you can use anything that you want. Because unlike these other bands that wanted to make something off of us, he understood like, hey, first off, no one is buying a skate video because of the song that's in it. But people may watch that video and fall in love with that album or that song and then search it out. So we found stuff
mhm.
through a lot of skate videos, but also, and you'll remember this, I'm sure, the CD or the tape case, you'd open it up and see who that band thanked. And that's who we were buying. We would go through it and Sick of It All thanked, this band, that band, and that we got to go get this. And then
Mhm.
if you liked it, you open that one up. Or Epitaph and then Fat Records, and you're like, I gotta buy everything on them.
Yes.
Find out some of them weren't that good. There's
Mhm.
some that I'm not a huge fan of, but and especially like the hardcore stuff, like Revelation Records, like all the straight edge stuff that I had to have, and not all of it was great. Not all of it was great. All right, I applaud
Well,
them for being straight edge like me, but not the greatest music at all.
I I think, we probably went to the Warp Tour when it was worth going to, if you remember the Vans Warp Tour, back in the day.
I went to the first two Warp Tours.
Mhm.
A matter of fact, the first one I only went to because No Use for a Name and Civ were playing. And
Yes.
where it was on the top of a parking garage, but it was an amphitheater, right?
Mhm.
And you weren't allowed to skateboard there. And then I see some locals that are skating. I'm like, how'd you get in? And kid like takes off the lanyard and goes, here, go get your board. I'm like, what? He goes, they won't ask. And I went down. And while those bands ended up playing, I was skateboarding and I was having a great time. So to
Yeah.
this day, I saw them, but I barely saw No Use for a Name, which you'd never see again because the singer passed
Mhm.
away, and Civ, who only had the one album out, but and if you ever heard his second album, it is awful. It is like the worst album I've ever heard that's in a hardcore genre. But we knew Civ because of Gorilla Biscuits. Now,
Yeah.
it was either the second or third one that I went to. That's when it had moved, and it was the lineup was Bad Religion, Pennywise, Sick of It All, the Boss Tones. I believe
Mhm.
Rancid played there. I believe the Suicide Machines act like there were so many good bands that I was into. And the thing that made me the most mad was that Sick of It All and Pennywise overlapped, and those are my two favorite bands, even to this day. And I can remember
Yeah.
running from Sick of It All to Pennywise so I could hear it.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're right. The Warp Tour became something that it was like, no offense, this is where you're about to offend people. Um, it became some really shitty music.
I I went to one year. It was when the specials were playing. It was the specials. Like, oh, it was when swing music was coming back, like Cherry Papa Daddies, and like if you, I don't know if you remember that. Um, but Kid Rock was like a side stage, and he still had the midget or Joe C. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. A little person with him. Um,
Listen, you brought up Kid Rock, you've offended a whole bunch of people because I don't care that the guy is from Michigan. He ain't from Detroit. We'll just say that right now. He makes
mhm.
awful music.
But I will tell you that I did not see him. I heard him, but I was more focused on the people I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Kid Rock is like some of the people. I don't understand people, and especially if you knew what his early music was, it is so bad. It is
oh yeah.
you look up "Yodeling in the Valley." That's all I have to say, and you'll be like, "Wow." All right, so that was basically your high school. Did you weren't into
Mhm.
sports or anything?
So I played soccer not because I wanted to, but because I was expected to. So I did that. That was where I started playing hockey, roller
Okay,
hockey, ice hockey. Um, and this is where Lawrence is going to lose all respect for me.
because of the
I
'95 Devils and the stupid fucking trap. I'm
No, I was a Rangers fan. Fuck the Devils.
okay.
Yeah. So,
I thought you were gonna bring up the 95 when they beat the Wings when.
no, I was a skater kid, but I was an inline skater kid.
Okay.
He's and see, this is where he's, oh, one of those. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The one's not talented enough to have a board and but yeah. So I was one of them. I was a hockey kid, so you know.
But did you do like rollerblading? I mean, inline is
Uh,
different. Like,
Yep. Yep.
so you
So
did
like skating around,
aggressive.
doing rail slides
Okay.
and, skating where you're not supposed to skate and yeah.
All right. So, okay, when I got back into skating at 40, so 20, not 20, 10 years ago, my buddy Tony, he's never quit. And he was talking to me about the scooter kids. And he said they're 10 times worse than the rollerbladers were back in the day. And I'm like, bullshit. He is so right. They were absolutely the worst they are. Now, this is where my whole feeling on rollerblading has changed, or inline skating, aggressive, whatever.
Mhm.
When I see the inline guys now, and I would see a lot of them at the park, inline or aggressive rollerblading, whatever you want to call it, it is at
Mhm.
the point where skateboarding was when rollerblading got big. The only people that were still skateboarding was because they loved it.
Mhm.
When I see the rollerbladers now, they're doing it because they love it, not
Mhm.
because it's a cool thing. And I have a lot of respect for those guys today. Scooter kids, I do not, and I never will. But I do have respect. And one of my good friends, when I started skating, he worked at the skate park. He was one of the rollerbladers, and
Mhm.
you know got to know him pretty well. And some of the other fruit booters. I mean, rollerblade. He he's the one who
There
called
it
them
is.
that. I
There.
never I actually had never heard that. He was the one that actually called them fruit booters,
Mhm.
which made me laugh. No, but yeah, so my feeling 20 some years later, 25 years has completely changed because they're in the position now where we were. They
Mhm.
they do it because they love it, not
Yeah.
because they're ever gonna get popular. I mean, there's one guy, there's actually 2 pros that go to the park that I go to, and, they make no money. The one guy has his own blades and his own wheels.
Mhm.
He's not like a pro, like, I mean, he doesn't make money and makes
Right.
very little, I'm assuming, from the product. And again,
Mhm.
I know enough about skateboarding that very few pro skateboarders actually don't have to work a real job.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
Um, it's not hockey, it's not, and hockey is actually the lower end of the pros, right? It's not basketball and all that other shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'll give you a pass.
Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
With that said, I did have somebody
Yeah.
give me rollerblades when I was like 20, and I learned how to do grinds like in the first day. I could barely roll even to this day. But I was like, oh, like you just jump. It's like it's
Yeah.
but I've always said this about rollerblading though. Um, Unlike skateboarding, when you decide that you're gonna jump 10 steps, you're gonna try and do a rail or a ledge that's drops, there's no
Mhm.
bailing. Like
No.
it's on you, right? Like
Yeah.
skateboarding, you can bail. Now things can go wrong, there's no doubt, but on rollerblades, and even again, I still think the craziest shit is the BMX, like especially on vert
Mhm.
ramps. Like getting tangled up in a bike is the worst. It is like the worst thing to think of. Matt
So
Hawk,
now
Matt
that you
Hawk,
bring that
please.
now now that you bring that up, you just jogged my memory. Out in the garage here, I have my original GT Performer.
I always like the
Okay.
performer more than the dyno. I didn't have one, but I always like the
Yeah.
performer, and I always like them way more than the Haros.
Yeah. So it sits out there. My sons were like, "What are these?" I'm like, "Those are called pegs, and you want nothing to do with them because look at these shins." Like,
uh,
so
Years ago, when I wasn't skating, it's probably 16 years ago, I was doing box jumps at the gym, and it was a wood box, sharp corner.
Mhm.
And on one of them, I missed, and I came crashing down on my shins. And as I did, every single pain from skateboarding and smashing my shins came through. And I remember sitting on the ground going, this is the one thing I do not miss from skateboarding.
Mhm. Mhm.
And even though I'm not
Yeah.
skateboarding, it was the same thing. Like, and anyone that's never really smacked their shins hard, then you don't know.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah.
Pegs,
Yeah, it's wild.
yeah, pegs, skateboards. I guess that's one thing you really did. I guess if you came down on a ledge rollerblading, but you didn't have that fear too much. Skateboarding, like if you felt my shins, you're like, that is messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and then quickly, let's throw this up.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
Uncle Clutch with the 199 super chat saying Joe ARH was gleaming the cube. Now you brought up your performer, right? Which
Yeah.
I believe that weren't they all pro performers?
So yes. Yes. They were pro perform well, actually, they weren't all pro performers, but like everybody got the pro performers because then you got all the
Yeah.
extras with it. If you wanted the gyro, if you wanted the package, you were getting a pro performer.
Gyro or rotor? What
I
did you
we
like
we
more?
called it the gyro. We called it the gyro,
No,
but
there's no
I don't know.
they're different. The gyro, I think the gyro was the circular one. The rotor was like the
Mhm.
one that looked like it was open.
Yeah, so this one, the one that's on that is the gyro for sure.
Yes. It's opened. Yeah. I think
Mhm.
Haro used the other one, or Red Line. All right. So he brought up cleaning the cube. And Now, Gleaming the Cube, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun. Christian Slater, when Christian Slater did freestyle, it was Rodney Mullen. When he was doing vert, um, it was Mike McGill. Here's the fucking problem: one is goofy, one is regular, and there's a spot where Christian Slater is riding, and then he jumps up, and he launches, and he does a method, and he literally switches stances, and I knew it right away, and it drove me nuts. But as a skateboarder, and I've said this numerous times, it kills me, but I don't care. Rad is the greatest extreme movie ever, and it will never change. And a matter of fact, the 40th anniversary is, I think it's the 40th, is this weekend. So certain movie theaters are playing it this weekend. I can watch Rad all the time. Great music. Crew Jones, the evil Bart Taylor, ass sliding, so much. Hell Track, Hulk Hogan, eat your heart out. Like, I love that movie.
Yeah.
A
Yes.
little too much.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit, but it's great. It's good stuff.
All right, so that's what you do through high school. You got into inlining, you get into grunge music. Like, you hit two things I just did not like. Did you graduate from high school?
I did. I did. I was actually supposed to go to a college in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Uh, I was in a religious high school, and I was supposed to go there, but I chose not to.
What's the
Um,
school?
Calvin College.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Yeah. But I decided to take a different path, and I went to college for criminal justice, and I graduated um, from there. But during college, I discovered more different kinds of music. I got involved in the campus radio station,
All right.
which in the late '90s, it was pretty much like alternative Dave Matthews, or late at night it was the metal kids, and then in between, you had the mozzarella stick eating ska and punk kids. Like, it was
Anyway, what's the mozzarella?
that's the sound that you hear in your head when your fresh mozzarella sticks arrive. That's what ska music is.
I've never heard this.
Mm.
So, and I love mozzarella sticks. Ska is not my
Mm-hmm.
favorite music, but I've actually started to appreciate it as I've gotten older. So, the sound that fresh mozzarella sticks, I'm assuming because of the sizzling.
Yep. So, you know, um, and there's all different kinds of ska too. So, you've got the popular, sanitized, made for mass market ska, and then you've got the original island ska, which is very different. It's practically reggae. Um, and then you've got your subsets of it. So, like, Rancid, Rancid was kind of a little bit ska, a little bit punk. They
Well,
had both.
Ranted's punk, but they have that ska.
Hmm.
The
They had
ska
pop
from
Ivy
Op
bass.
Ivy. But I don't call Ranted ska because it's not insulting.
I agree with the action figures here. The specials. The specials were a great band. Great band.
Yeah, I mean, I got into, like, I was never a ska fan.
Hmm.
But my buddies, the Voodoo Glow Skulls came here. My buddy's
Hmm.
band opened up for him, but because Mustard Plug is from Grand Rapids, I believe Grand Rapids, they they actually headlined here, and they played till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I don't think I'd put that music on in my car, but man, did they put on a hell of a show. They
Hmm.
put on a hell of a show. And I'm like, I'd go see them again. And for me, I mean, I can't speak for you. For me, um, I've been to a few arena shows, and that's because of taking my daughter. I want to be in a club. Like, you want to be close. There's something special about knowing that everyone there is there for the music, not because it's what's cool, what radio man told you is good music and you should listen to it. And it's cool to see the bands, they're walking by you, and you know they're there watching somebody else play rather than be pampered in the back.
Well, and there were some good venues within driving distance of where I went to college. Like there was the Roseland Ballroom is what it was called, and it was slightly larger than a club, but it was definitely still a club atmosphere.
Yeah.
I saw like Stabbing Westward there with a Connelline Crush, like bands like that. During college, we would constantly sneak in, especially the radio station kids, because Delsner Slater would give us tickets to give away, and somehow, some way, like we always ended up with half the tickets. I don't know how that worked out, but I'm just saying. You know, I was kind of like a punk kid, but I still saw Dave Matthews from the third row. I'm just saying, like, you don't turn that down.
Yeah, when you appreciate music, it's and I appreciate music a little bit different than I'm a snob. I'm not gonna lie. Like, people will be like, "You're a music snob." I'm like, I like what I like. I'm not gonna try and hide it. But I took my daughter to see. Oh my god, the band is awful. It was one of the popular, trendy pop punk bands. Name a
Pop
couple of them.
punk.
Yeah, really bad in the 2000s. 21 Pilots opened up for him. That I remember, and I thought they actually were pretty cool. Not My Chemical Romance, but it was in the same genre of My Chemical Romance. But I took them there, and they were on the floor. I'm sitting in a seat all by myself, and the one of the security guards came over to me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "My daughter and her friends are down there, and I just got a seat." Fall Out Boy, yes, that is it. Yes, and terrible, yes, yes. And he said, "Hey, there's another seat closer if you." And I mean, I was like right on the side of them, and I remember sending her pictures. I'm like, "This is where I'm at right now." But she was on the floor and she had a great time, which is, that's all that really mattered to me. But yeah, like it was cool to be moved there, and like you said, like experience something like that. But for me, I would have rather been down on the floor of Bad Religion or Rancid or a band like that. Not that I go in the
There,
pit anymore. I don't need to do that.
there's a lot of things you can suffer through. Bad music or music that you're not appreciating whatsoever is not one of those things.
All right, so I was just thinking about this the other day. My daughter and her friends wanted to go see this band at St. Andrews Hall, which is my favorite place to ever see. And I'm like, I don't know, no idea who the band is. But and I already agreed to take them. What really pissed me off was down the street, Lagwagon was playing.
Oh, I love Lagwagon. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So, but I had already committed. And it's bad enough that a band that you really want to see is down the street. And when I say down the street, I mean like 5 miles down the street.
Right.
But this was the absolute worst show that I've ever seen. And not because I wanted to be elsewhere, because the music was so bad. I was actually gonna message her the other day, like, what was that concert that I took you to that was just awful? Like, I took her to see like Tegan and Sarah, and we had a great time. I couldn't tell you a Tegan and Sarah song other than they sing on Everything Is Awesome. And that like Tegan and Sarah opened up for Fun. I remember that, right? And I took her to see like other shows, right? And and we had a good time. That show, I was like, this is the worst music. And even she at the end was like, she's like, that wasn't really good. I'm like, no, it wasn't. And then driving home, I drove right by. I'm like, that's where I should be right now. Like, I should. That is. I should have bought tickets for all of us to go there right after, because they probably were still playing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you went. So you go to college for criminal justice.
Mm-hmm.
Now what were you studying to do in criminal justice? And this is actually interesting to me because my daughter right now, she wants to be a lawyer, but she's looking into criminal justice and other type of stuff that she could do.
Yeah. So my college was a liberal arts college, so they put you into programs. So I went into probation and parole.
Okay.
And it wasn't necessarily something that I wanted. Like I wanted to be in the FBI, but apparently you also had to have an accounting degree. At that time in my life, I'm like, I'm not great at numbers. Now my entire job revolves around numbers, so it's insanity to me that like I sucked all the way through school, and now I'm the guru of numbers where I work. But it's he's the wizard. Just send it to Joe. But yeah, so I was doing probation and parole, and I was like working like crazy jobs. So I had 3 jobs, and in the morning I would work in a gas station, start the coffee, pump gas. Then I would go to work at the
Oh,
probation
well,
department.
wait, are you in New Jersey?
Yeah,
New Jersey, you can't pump your own gas, correct?
that is correct.
I
Still
only
to
know
this
that.
day.
I only know that because I was in Dallas and for training, and the guy was from New Jersey, and he was
Hmm.
so excited he could pump his own gas. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, and the funny thing is, my mom passed away when I was 13, but she didn't pump gas. She still went to self-serve or not full service.
Hmm.
Or my dad did it.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, so I just so people understand, even now
Yep.
in Jersey, and I went to Jersey for training not too long ago, a couple years ago, and yeah, it's weird. Like I'm not tipping you, like that's supposed to.
If you've met a lot of us from New Jersey, you would understand, be like, you know what,
Yes,
just let us handle this.
yeah. Oregon,
um,
Oregon was the other one. I thought one of them got rid of it, but I'm not. I thought one of them did. But
Maybe Jersey has more
apparently Jersey
recently.
still hasn't, right?
No, I don't believe
'Cause
so.
yeah,
Like
when I was
I
there,
still
they
can get
pumped.
my gas pumped.
Yeah, yeah. When I went there for training, they pumped my gas, and I ain't fucking I ain't tipping you.
No. But yeah, so I would get up at dark 30, go to the gas station, work there for a couple hours, go to the probation and parole department, work there for a couple hours. And as a student doing intake on those folks, there was a lot of people that we were taking into the program that you just saw in the news. So it was like, you're asking a kid who's like just barely out of being a teenager at that time, you know, okay, this is all confidential stuff. And you're like, holy crap, I know what you did. Like, we just saw it on the news last night, and now they're, being taken into the justice system. But um, and then at night, I would work in the bakery at ShopRite.
Do
So,
you going to bed? Good night. Love you. Sorry. I told her to say good night to me because she's been ignoring me when she goes to bed because I'm doing streams, and I'm like, no, you can still come say good. You can still come say good night to me. Like that's. She knows when I'm on a show with other people, she tries not to bother me too much. On Monday,
mhm.
she doesn't care, but even then, she's just going to bed. I'm like, say good night to me before you go to bed.
Nice.
So it's only a matter of time, and then they don't want to have anything to do with you. Although she's a
Hmm.
daddy's girl, so I'm good with that. Anyway, so yeah, so you're doing probation. That would be weird that like it is weird when you get to know certain things like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of It works for me because I use a lot of what I learned then in what I do for work now. Um, so, uh, you know, people are like, what did you go to school for?" And I'm like, "Oh, I went for criminal justice." They're like, "Oh, that makes sense." I'm like, "Okay. All right."
So did you finish school with a
Oh
degree?
yeah, I graduated with honors,
Okay.
cum laude. That's that's that is not how you say that, kids.
I mean, I didn't finish with honors, but I've done that before. So,
Mhm. That's all you can ask for in this world. That's it.
or you can ask for a little more.
Yeah.
Um.
Seconds, I guess. I don't know.
So okay. So once you graduate, I mean, are you collecting anything at this point? Like, because I feel like when you're a collector, you're a collector. You find something to collect. I've talked about it before. Like, I used to take everyone's old skateboard, and
Mhm.
I didn't realize I was actually collecting these skateboards. I don't have any now, but I was like collecting the skateboards. And you didn't really realize it. And then I look at the CDs and the DVDs. Like, were you collecting anything?
So in college, I think it was like video games I was collecting at the
Okay.
time, various, from when I was a kid, from the NES days all the way up through. At that time it was N64. We were all in the dorms playing, the wrestling games because you had four people, you could do
Yep.
tag teams, and um it was before the advent of online gaming at that point in the Xbox Live.
GoldenEye was the big one that everyone loved.
Yes. Yep. GoldenEye, Mario Kart, and the WCW, Monday Nitro was what was big.
The N64 I would bring into the skate shop I worked at, and skateboarding was dead, so there was no. Out of all out of all hockey players, the Wayne Gretzky 3-on-3 was one of the most brutal games. And I mean, like, there's fighting and we would play 3-on-3 for hours while because there was no one in the shop. I would have never thought that Wayne Gretzky hockey would be like that because it's not how he was.
Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, and then straight out of college, I got married the same year, and went and started a career as at the bottom rung of a ladder because I needed to start providing, and that's when I think at that point, getting out of college, I was collecting like movies. That was a big thing because I
Yeah.
wasn't really going out. We weren't going out anymore. You're home, you're at the apartment, or you're working, and it was like movies and CDs.
Did you have kids right away?
She came with my one son,
Okay.
and then that
Now,
was, I guess, within. Hmm?
do you mind me asking how old?
So he was 2 years old.
Okay, so 2 years old when you met
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and I've dated two different women with young kids. One
Mhm.
being my kid's mother, and I don't think a lot of people realize this. Like when you're young and you're working, you don't have money to do stuff. So you're right.
Yeah.
Like I can buy a movie, and especially if it's a movie we're gonna rewatch, awesome. And that's gonna be our
Mhm.
Friday and Saturday night. Like we're gonna buy a movie or rent a movie. You can't do that anymore, but you'd rent a movie.
Mhm.
So I fully understand like that, and I feel like it seems like you struggle for years to get out of that.
Yeah, yeah. You're an adult, but you don't have adult money yet. You
Yes,
know,
and
you
that's why I
you
say.
don't have.
I mean, I said to my daughter, I'm like, I go, do you know what it's like to have adult money and be able to buy whatever toy realistically I want? And then she looks at me like, "You're an idiot, Dad." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct."
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
So you now were you two going to school together, or did you just meet her? Wow.
Nope. So we met each other online.
Okay.
So in the early days of online, it was AOL shortly after Prodigy.
Oh wow.
So
So not a dating site, just like a chat room.
yeah. Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep. And the interesting thing is apparently I was talking to her sister the whole time, and then I was passed off like, "Holy cow, this is gonna be like a real thing." So here you go. So,
Wow.
good thing it worked out, huh?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like,
Yeah. It's like, "I can't handle this, you take him."
so you meet her. I'm assuming you guys are still together.
Mhm.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good on you. That is very commendable.
Yeah.
Um, so you guys get married. Now she
Mhm.
comes with a child,
Mhm.
and I almost hate when people say like, "Oh, good for you that you know that you helped raise the child." Like when you meet someone that has kids, like you just they're part of them. Like
Yeah.
and it is rough. Anyone that has not dealt with that, and I don't know if the father was involved. I know like my daughter, her father was not involved, so I raised her since she was 5 years old.
Mhm.
But for me, there always was that. Sometimes I felt like I was like. Sometimes it felt like you're not really her dad, and you're like,
Mhm.
well, I've sure done a lot, you know. I should
Yeah.
take her to school a lot, and I remember being there for her first day of kindergarten, and even though we split up, her and I still have a good relationship. So
Yeah.
I commend you for that because it's not easy. It's
No, and you think when they get older, it's supposed to get easier. It gets harder for some reason, you know? Because now you're worried about what they're doing in addition to what they're not doing. Like if
yeah.
they're out, you have no idea. Like it used to be, at least when they were a baby, they were in this one spot and they weren't crawling yet. Or okay, now we've got a gate, they're in this room, you know.
So
Now
so
they're anywhere.
okay, how long were you two together before you two had your first child together?
So 2 years. 2
Okay.
years.
So
Yeah.
so you were together for 2 years.
Mhm.
So your son was 4 years old when you had your first child.
Mhm.
All right, so let me
Mhm.
ask you this question.
Yep.
She's already been through it. Were there times when did you have a son or a daughter?
So, our first together was a daughter.
Okay. So were there times when she got sick that you got worried, but your wife has already been through it and she's like, "It's not a big deal." And you're like, "No, it is." Did you deal with that? Because I dealt with that where I remember like freaking out over my son in certain things and Susan being like, it's not that big of a deal. And you're like, what are you talking about? But
Mm.
she'd already been through it.
So, with the first daughter, not so much. With the second daughter, she threw up a lot.
Oh,
She
okay.
threw up a lot. And I was constantly panicking. I'm like, "Oh my god, this child," my wife took a cup of water, and it wasn't even a cup of water, it was like 2 tablespoons or something, like, and she's like, she threw water on me, and she's like, "Do you see how much it looks like? Okay? It was nothing. Don't worry about it." Like, and like here she was, but she was just so sick of hearing me here, like, "We gotta go to the doctor, we gotta take her to the hospital." She's like, "It's that much. That's it. All right." Like, it's not a big deal. So I feel like every one of the kids, there was stuff to learn,
Oh
but
yeah, there's definitely always stuff. But I can tell you by the time Olivia came along, you're just like, and she was difficult because if she fell, she wouldn't let you comfort her. Like,
oh,
especially a girl, you'd think like she'd want daddy or mom or whatever. She would push herself into a corner and would not let you. And you're like, we need to know you're okay. Then you can sit there
no.
and scream in the corner. We need to know that you're okay.
Yeah.
I think she's still kind of like that too. She's still kind of like that in many ways. Like I said,
Hmm.
I think everyone knows that met Olivia. I've seen her. She's a daddy's girl. So, how many kids do you have?
So we have 5.
Okay, you have
Yeah.
5 kids, and what is the age range? Or
So late 20s all the way down to going to be 16 at the end of this year. So it goes, the eldest is a boy, then girl, girl, then boy, boy.
okay, so you have a huge that's a big family, especially
Yeah.
from this day and age, right? Uh,
Yeah.
during this time, are you able to collect anything, or are you just you're just away from it? You're doing the dad thing, and again, I fully understand because I didn't skateboard for 10 years, and I've never said I quit skateboarding. I just said I stopped because
Hmm.
things got in the way, and
Yeah.
I don't regret it at all. I remember when I stopped skateboarding because I got back into it. Then Susan got pregnant with Andrew, and I thought she's already at home with her daughter. Now I knocked her up. I'm partially responsible. It'd be unfair for me to leave work and then go ride my skateboard and then come home and she's dealt with, a 5 year or actually she would have been like eight at the time, an 8 year old, and then I'm just kind of strolling in and I'm hey, I'm gonna go to the gym too. I never wanted to be that. And then when he came along, I wanted to experience as much. And then Olivia comes along. Um, is that how you were with everything?
Yeah. I think they do somewhat give you a sneak peek back into some of the feelings, like when they were getting toys, and you would be like, "Ooh, I remember that feeling. I know that look." Like I was excited to help them, but they also grew up in a little bit of a different time too, where you know by the time my youngest was coming up, Toys R Us wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like, Child World was gone. Like, they don't know what a toy store was like. The youngest doesn't know what a world without a touch screen is like. As a baby, he would run up to the TV and try and swipe it like an iPad, and he thought it was the craziest thing that there was this big screen that didn't work right, you know? But they were more of like a we, because we had a small house until very recently, to be quite honest. We had a much smaller house, and it was kids were like hanging from cargo nets, and they were in bunk beds, and there wasn't a lot of room. So the big thing was like the Nintendo Wii, the Xbox 360, and so on and so forth, because or they would be outside.
So Tony says, "Did I meet Joe ARH or was it that Joe fan?"
It was Joe Fan, because I have not met Tony.
Yes. It was Joe Hunter and Joe fan. We got mixed up because it was so loud and we thought that it was Joe. I think we thought that it was Joe. Yeah, because we met Joe Hunter, and then the next day someone was like, "That was Joe Hunter," and like, "How do you know?" He's like, "He's wearing the shirt." And again, it was so, and they were both there. I mean, it was so
Yeah.
loud, and again, this was before we were seeing everyone on screen, so obviously it changes everything. Everyone knew who we were,
Hmm. Hmm.
and all of us, myself, Tony, and I believe it was Ed, that was like, "No, dude, that was Joe fan," and we're like, and then the next day it was like, "That was Joe Hunter. Look at him. He's wearing this shirt." No, you haven't gone to Joe Fest, correct?
I have not. This is going to be my first one this year.
And are you gonna enjoy yourself?
I hope so. I mean, does anybody go in going, man, this is going to suck?
I hope not. I
I've
mean,
heard nothing but bad things about Joe Fest.
I always like to go. I always like to go to places that I hear awful things about. It's kind of like
Right?
it's. I always say like the moment someone goes, they do this. Like they go, "Oh, that's awful. Try it." I know you just
Yeah.
told me. You just told me how awful it is.
Yeah.
I'd rather not. No, you have to
Oh.
try it. No, I don't. You
Yep.
you you have told us. Hey, look who shows up right away. Joe fan.
There he is.
And I actually talked to Joe Hunter today too. He messaged me about somebody on his show that didn't like me.
Yeah, I screenshotted some of that for you.
I just laughed. I go, I don't know if you know what it's about, but you can go watch it. And Tony, I know, knows exactly what it's about. There's a lot to that story. Anyway, all right. So here you are. You have, um, multiple kids now. What are you
Mhm.
doing for work? Are you working your way up? Did you get a job right away? I've been at my job for 25 years, so I don't even know what it's like to bounce around.
Yeah. So I have worked for um, lots of different companies, international companies, national companies, all in the same industry. And now I am a consultant after being in the industry for 25 plus years. I'm now a consultant,
Do you mind me
which,
asking? Do you mind me asking what type of business you're in?
so I was in emergency services as it pertains to large disasters.
Okay.
So kind of like a hired gun cleanup, fix it type deal. Um, and always the worst of the worst. Um, uh, so yeah, I started as a contractor and now I work as a consultant. So I don't have to do the work. I just have to tell other people that they're doing it wrong.
That's like me on YouTube. I tell people that they're doing it wrong.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, especially when someone hands you a check every 2 weeks. Like I just get to run around being grumpy all day.
That sounds like my kind of job. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm. Mhm.
So as you're working your way, like you said, you worked at different companies, but it sounds like you were always in the same field, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And it's completely by accident. Like I said, when I got married out of college, I needed to get some stable work, and someone said, "Hey, have you tried this emergency services stuff?" And I said, "No, I didn't even know that was a job." Like, because I had been in the academic field and looking at, government type work, and it's just a position I didn't know existed. So I started at the very bottom rung as a day laborer with a contractor and worked my way all the way up until I was pretty much in charge of New York, New Jersey. So New York City proper, Long Island, New Jersey. Um,
So did your degree have anything to do with what you? Nope. Okay.
Not in the slightest. So when I tell you that now people are like, well, what did you go to school for? And I say criminal justice, and they're like, oh, so now you are going after the contractors and telling them what they're doing wrong. And most contractors that I deal with happen to be somewhat criminals. So people are like, that was you absolutely needed your degree to work in that field.
All right. So what about your wife? Does she did is she in the workforce, or I mean, a lot of people let their wife stay home because you have that many kids, and
Yes. So when we first got married, she was working. After our first child, to me, it didn't make sense, and to her, it didn't make sense. It was a mutual decision, that whatever she was going to pay for childcare, she was not going to make back with an additional amount of money.
people that don't have
Uh,
kids. Like my ex, she worked from home.
Hmm.
Um, when she did, and she actually got a job at my company working under the table, but she had quit her job. When we looked at the
Hmm.
price of daycare, oh my god! Like I don't know how anyone can even send a kid to daycare. It's
Hmm.
outrageous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had to
So
say.
no, so she was a stay-at-home mom. She did homeschooling for all of them. Um, and now she's just started a business last year, and she's doing well.
Well, that's good, and I
So
know,
she's
like, no, go on.
no, I was going to say, so she thrust herself back into the workforce as the last child was coming to the end of schooling. So.
Yeah, I know, like, when, 'cause my ex literally had quit her job, and the next day she found out she was pregnant, and it's gonna be hard to find a job then. But
Mhm.
we discussed it. I wasn't making a lot of money, but we discussed it where I was like, if we can survive with what I make, raise it, with Emily and Andrew when he came, I would rather you stay home with him. Uh, I don't want to like pick a kid up from the daycare or her pick up the kid and be like, oh, he took his first steps. Oh, he said his first words, right? Like
Mhm.
I I I I wanted to hear it from her first if he did it with her. As long as we could make it. And
Mhm.
we were able to do it for many years. She ended up working for my company because the owner like, hey, do you think Susan want to come in for a couple hours a day, a couple hours a week or whatever? And then that's how she got started. And then she started working from home, and then we split up, and she got fired and had nothing to do with me. And now she has a full time job, and good for her.
Nice.
All right, so where's you raising these kids? These kids. I say raising these kids like they're not yours. I always hated, especially after we split up. And I even told my ex one day, I'm like, she's like, do you mind babysitting? And I finally said, don't ever ask me if I can babysit my own kids. You are never babysitting your own kid. It's your kid,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't
Yeah.
babysit them. They live with
No.
you. If it's your weekend and you have something that's going on, yeah, and I don't have anything going on, yeah, but don't ask if I can babysit. I had to have that cat. Like, don't ever ask me. Just say, hey, are you busy? Can I drop the kids off with
Mhm.
you for the day or whatever? Yeah, that's fine.
No.
You don't babysit your own kids. Just any
No.
youngins that any youngins that might be watching, remember that. Don't ever say, "Oh yeah, I got to babysit my kid." No, no, you don't. They're your
Mm,
kids. You don't
yeah.
babysit your own kids. Um. All right. So, are you collecting anything during this time? Like, are you getting into collecting?
Kids, clearly. I'm collecting kids. Um, every couple of years, we got a new one. Can't wait to see what clothing and accessories are available for this one. But yeah, it was. But I mean, I think this was a time where I got to live vicariously through them a little bit. So, um, I, I again, I think collecting some movies, some video games here and there, but nothing on the order of what we consider collecting right now.
So, as you're, I'd hope moving up, and you have
Hmm.
your kids, and you're having more kids, and you're collecting those kids. Um, did you find them getting into anything where you helped them collect things, even though maybe they weren't collecting, but you're like, I have a bug and they need to have
Hmm.
all of something. Or did you never have that?
So I don't think any of the like I would start them on some Star Wars stuff, but it never took. Like they were like, yeah, that's neat and all, but it's like that. snapshot that's been going around lately of Arnold Schwarzenegger, when it's like when you make your kid watch all the same movies as when you were a kid, like you are not you, you are me, and uh, I would introduce them to things that I liked, and they enjoy Star Wars, but they didn't need the whole line. Um, I think they were more digital oriented than I ever was.
Philip Rivers agrees. You know who Philip Rivers is?
Mm-mm.
He's a quarterback. Um, I believe he's a retired quarterback now, and he has like 9 or 12 kids, somewhere in that range. He like pops out like a kid like every year.
That's what it felt like for a while. That's what
unlike,
it felt like.
but unlike a lot of athletes, I believe all his kids are from the same woman though. I'm not
Yeah,
even gonna get into
yeah.
some of the athletes that have like 15 kids from 13 different women.
hmm
But we know they're out there.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so none of your kids really got in. It sounds like none of your kids really got anything, so you didn't have that bug to constantly make sure
Yeah,
they had everything. Um,
yeah.
so as they start getting older, and
hmm
we talked about it a little bit at- early on. How do you start getting into toys?
So, um, I had brought some of the boxes that I had saved. Like I had some He-Man toys. I had my GI Joe Wolverine and a bunch of my Joes, totally complete, by the way, original Joes. And of course, the kids gonna kid, and they rip them apart. And at that time in my life, I didn't know you could repair them, and I was just like, "They're destroyed. Okay, throw them out. We're gonna move on. I don't have time to figure this thing out." Um, so they all kind of went by the wayside. And then, like I said, a couple of years ago, I wanted to do the nostalgia tree. I wanted that feeling of what it was like growing up. And after you would open all your presents, I would shove mine back under the tree so that that's where they would live for the next week or so.
Oh no,
Um,
no,
but
no, no,
that's
not
like,
me.
well, that was the best place for the battle platform. Like, I had the hovercraft and everything, and it would all like that tree became a battleground. Broke a lot of decorations too that year, but it was not was not a good year for decorations. But so I started this nostalgia thing. It got me back into the classified Joe line because of how much I had to catch up on, because it had been going on for what, um 3 or 4 years at that point. Like, it
So what,
started in 2020.
so what year is this?
So this is like 2024.
Oh yeah, you're like 4 years behind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because classified was 20. I think there's some. I think it started in 2019, but only like 00 Snake Eyes, maybe that first wave, and it was slow going. But you did have all those Cobra Island stuff that wasn't easy to get.
no. Um, Fortunately, I have friends like Ship 85 who got me my ferret and didn't rig me over the coals to get it. Because that was one of the things I wanted desperately, was to get a ferret because I had one of the few little vehicles I had. Um, but yeah, so that got me into collecting, and then I kind of discovered, um, I kind of kept it to myself, but I was listening to this podcast from the pit,
Okay.
Casey and Eric, and they kind of like made me feel like, okay, I'm not alone. So then now I'm watching, a punk with toys. I'm watching podcast from the pit, and all these other things, and I'm like, this is okay. This is fine. There are other people collecting. They're all adults. But I'm pretty much caught up on GI Joe classified now. I don't have all the HasLabs, but I do have my Dragonfly that I never had as a kid.
So okay, so you're collecting, you get pretty much
Mhm.
caught up, and
Mhm.
then what happens? Because it's like
So
that overflow, right? It's like you poured the pop and the fuzz went up, but you've poured and now it's going over because
yeah,
there's too much pop in it. Now you have this extra money. You don't really have extra money, but you think you do because you're not buying classified.
right.
And
So
then
now I decided I'm going to start telling stories, and I hear about these other lines. And it started with Operation Monster Force. There's this new thing, Operation Monster Force. You got to check it out. It's got, zombies and Dracula. And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. So then I'm like, ooh, I could tell a story with this. Good lines lead to getting into other lines. I'm just going to say that, you know, when you are into storytelling and headcanon and all that good stuff, you know, I looked at Operation Monster Force: The Forgotten King. I was not enthralled with the character to begin with. I didn't think he came with enough stuff for the price point. I was not enthralled with him. But then I kind of started developing a story. I'm like, okay, how would I even work this in with the Joes? So the Cobra went into the tomb to get the DNA for Serpentor, accidentally knocked something over, and now the Forgotten King got let out, and now he's running amok. Okay, what does that look like? I'm going to build a tomb, and the Forgotten King's going to be there. Okay, what's in a tomb? I got to make all these little things. Or do I? Then Casey, being the enabler he is, said, have you looked at mythic legions? They have Egyptian gods. They come with all the stuff from the tomb that anyone would need. I'm like, okay. So I walk out of Zolocon with all of the Egyptian gods, come back, and I'm decorating that. I'm like, wow, this mythic legion stuff, four horsemen stuff is really good. Absolutely. So now I'm like, okay, so what is the next step after he raises all these Egyptian temple people from the dead? Well, maybe he's got little monuments around the world. What would be cool if for him to raise from the dead next? A bunch of Vikings out of the ice in the Arctic that can attack my snowcat when it gets here. And the encampment. We're going to have Vikings popping up out of the ice. Great. So now we got to collect the Mythic Legion's Viking fell undead people now. So
all right,
that's
so
where I am.
so is everything that you collect, does it all revolve around GI Joe? Or because like
I
for
I
me, I have the GI Joe, but my
mhm.
Operation Monster Force, I may take pictures and stuff, but they don't really live with it. And obviously, my Marvel Legends, I mean, I'll do stuff mix and match, but my Marvel Legends live with my Marvel Legends and stuff. Same with my, you know, um, well, I guess like on my Mythic Legions, they live together with Savage Crucibles, this
Mhm.
Scare Glow that this Scare Glow that I just picked up, which is available at Walmart. Don't worry, they had like 12 today when I found the uh the special forces guy. So if you want that, you'll be able to find it at Walmart, believe me. But it sounds like all your stuff revolves around telling a GI Joe story.
Yes. And I think that that's good because it grounds me in what made me start in the first place and where I started. And the thing that was part of the best times as a kid were playing with my GI Joes. Um, but it also gives me a new way to experience it again in a different kind of way. Um, and it taps into the creative part of my brain that I almost felt like it died for a while being in corporate America. I'm sure, you know, you're looking for that creative outlets. For some people, it's YouTube and doing this. For some people, it's customizing characters or creating dioramas or printing out classified versions of vehicles and such. Um, I'm not much of a customizer for for characters, but I can tell you that out of that, I made, pretty decent
Yep.
extensive enterprises, and that was a good day. That was, it was a good day.
Now, see,
But you're right.
I will say this: we know why they did the hooded Cobra Commander, or I'm saying the hood. Um,
Mhm.
Now I don't know if they even thought like, hey, we'll have this here. This will work perfect for the Crimson Twins, but it matches. If you do that, and not everyone does that, but if you want to do that, it's going to match pretty well.
Yep. And if you take the whole neck from that suited body, if you take the whole neck off the peg, this neck actually works with the body, with this body. So like there is no sticky tack on this whatsoever. I ripped the whole neck
Oh,
out.
and listen, I'm working really hard to get a sticky tack
Oh,
sponsorship. So,
sponsorship? Okay,
yeah,
sorry about that. You
yeah.
definitely need sticky tack.
Steve Martin already made a comment on the on the video, the review that I just dropped, the special forces. He's like, "Oh, I caught the sticky tag." I didn't even realize I did it. Like I didn't even realize that I did it.
So
But not all the neck pegs work. The newer ones
correct.
don't fit anymore. But I don't know if you know this. If you have Big Ben's gas mask fits on the Operation Monster Force figures
Oh, no kidding.
perfectly.
I did not know that. Huh.
Perfectly.
Hmm. But kind of getting back to your question, everything but Sesame Street and Muppets will live in the GI Joe world altogether, and it's for that. It's kind of story driven, and we'll get everywhere where we need to get. Um, uh, I was trying to figure out where I was headed. Oh, so that up to and including uh, going to customizers and like Uncle Clutch does dreadnoughts, okay,
Yes, he
and
does.
really cool ones and cool bats and things like that. So when I see certain things come out from him, I'm like, okay, that'll go here in this world, or that might go here in this world. But I always want to be, to your point, in the GI Joe world as part of that story. Like, I want, yes.
Sting Attack, available at Menards. Now back to Thursday with a friend.
Hmm.
I need a sponsorship, damn it. I need something that pays these toy bills.
Hmm.
um, and again, I got it. Like, I never looked at it like the way you started explaining it. I'm like, you the way you're explaining it. I'm sitting there. I'm thinking like this is like like a Marvel universe.
Hmm.
You the way you set it up, you could sit there and you could take all your Operation Monster Force figures and put them with no GI Joes, and you could be like, it's in the same world. It happened because
Hmm.
of that, but the U.S. had to create another special forces just to take on this stuff. But when it comes down to it, they can all of a sudden be over there, and there's a hiss in the back, and it's not a big deal because all of a sudden, you know, GI Joe needed to be called in to help out, or during the dire tech stuff, right?
And
They
I'm
needed to
I'm
call in
probably
Declan, to figure out like you're creating a
mm,
comic with toys. Like in all honesty, where things splinter off, and again, we see how Marvel is, right? The X-Men are living on their own, but the X-Men also deal with the Avengers at time. And sometimes they have to
Mhm.
deal with the Avenger, the Avenger bad guys and different things like that. So
And I'm learning stuff constantly about how to do things betterer. I just started getting magnets so that I can make all my set pieces more modular. So that if I only have this amount of space, then I can make something that fits in that amount of space, but then it can connect to two other things if I build a bigger shelf. Like I'm building an office downstairs and I'm gonna have monstrous shelves that are just gonna be big set pieces. And I always look at it as if I invited someone over, and this is not to take away from people who just, put things in cabinets, right? But if I have someone over and be like, they're like, "Oh, I saw you collect toys or whatever." I'm like, "Oh no, come with me," and then they're gonna look, and it's gonna be like a ding museum, but it's gonna tell a story. And I may have a poll because I haven't decided the twist that it's gonna take yet, but I either Dr. Caligari is going to be the one who gave Dire Tech to Cobra as one of his different nerve agents or whatever, or the Forgotten King is going to send his minions after Cobra because, and it was in one of the chats I said today, the tagline would be like, what happens when what goes bump in the night isn't all in your head. And that, so I haven't decided how I'm going to do that turn, but that's what makes it fun, right? You still have stuff to figure out.
no, you're telling a hell of a story. And I was actually talking to Tony about this earlier today. And I've always said like, and actually somebody brought it up to me. I forget who it was, but they were like, your shelf should tell a story. Now, I'm not big into just a static. Now, I was talking to Tony today and I was like, I'm trying to make a little bit more room. And I've been looking at my stuff and I'm like, I can't, and a lot of it goes to because I have all my Operation Monster Force up here. So I took all my Marvel Legends, they went downstairs and I just kind of put them grouped together, but they look really
Mhm.
good grouped together, just like not really doing anything because you have the Juggernaut that's really big, and I got a flight stand with Magneto, right? So there's different heights. Where if you do that with GI Joe, yeah, Gung Ho and Roadblock are bigger, but they're not that much bigger when they're in the back that you may not see them, unless you put
Mhm.
like mainframe in front, like then you might see them. But like these ones,
Mhm.
you can do that. And I was looking at them, like this looks really cool. And then I was like, you know what? I've never done with my classified. I never grouped them together. Like I've had Python Patrol fighting. I've had Python Patrol fighting Tiger Force, but I've never just
Mhm.
like lined them up together. Like just like here's the Python, here's Tiger Force, and I'm like, I kind of want to do that
Mhm.
because for the first time, I'm like, I don't need to leave them like that forever. I just kind
Right.
of want to change it up for a little bit, and they'll still be because I have a whole fight scene in front of my TV and everything. Um,
Mhm.
I was like, I kind of want to change it up because I got more stuff coming in. But now you're seeing like all the Cobra Law stuff. I'm like, I kind of want it just together, just for a short bit to have them like, oh, this is
Mhm.
what everything looks like. Here's all the dire tech stuff, and put that with the zombie stuff and different things like that. Um, but I like what you're doing because I love to tell the story. Now you have to have space. That's
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing, and I'm running out of space. I don't have a huge house,
Yeah.
and I'm single, so I can do whatever I want. But even then, it's like I need a big giant basement.
Mhm. Well, and I hate to say this, but even though I have a basement, I get one room out of the basement, right? So, because as when I started collecting Joes, I started filling the shelves with classified, and I took over one cabinet, and then because we had Lego displays, our family was a Lego family. Like we would get Legos during the holidays, put them together, and then
He
display
meant
them.
Lego, people. He meant Lego.
Yeah,
Please don't
yeah.
insult me.
Excuse me, Lego,
Don't attack my
Lego.
comments.
Um, so, but I started taking over additional cabinets, and then I kind of got called to the carpet like, hey, those are our cabinets, you got to stick with one, we gave you the one. I'm like, okay. So now I just have bins stacking up.
Yeah.
If I don't have a display, they're in
I
bins.
mean, you didn't pull the we mean our cabinets. Last time I checked, I pay the mortgage.
let
This
me
isn't
tell
a
let me tell
we.
you how that let me tell you how that goes.
You don't have
You
to.
made me familiar.
There's a reason why I'm single, all right?
Hmm.
All right, so you said 24 was when you got now that's a lot of stuff to get in a short period of time. And you really weren't collecting anything.
Yep.
Does your wife collect anything?
No, Lego.
Okay.
Lego. Um, she does like the larger sets and very specific, like camping sets and things of that nature.
Okay. Because my question was going to be how do you approach your wife and say, "Hey, I want to start spending absorbent amount of money on toys." But you just said she puts together large Lego sets.
Hmm.
And that's probably saying, "Hey, this is much cheaper than anything you're doing because Lego is not cheap."
No, it is not.
But
Now,
it
bearing.
never goes down in cost. Like it never goes down in price. That is the one thing. And I tell people, listen, this is not you do not invest in toys. But if you are going to buy Lego, because it is
Hmm.
the only thing that very seldom will it go down in.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Actually, the agreement's kind of been as long as the bills are paid, and I don't notice a big dent in any of the accounts, then have at it. But if if it starts encroaching on other things, yeah, I'd probably hear about it.
And I think that's a really hard thing for a lot of people. And I know there's a lot of the guys that watch me and watch other people, and they see me getting stuff, and they feel they
Hmm.
have to keep up with me or others. And it's like, if you can't afford it, don't. It's okay. You can
Right.
come back later on and get it. This isn't vintage stuff. Very seldom does something go up to a price where you can't get it. But what you see me getting, again, I've been very open and honest. Like I have found a way to, for the most part, make it so everything that I do, YouTube, Amazon affiliates, it pays for my hobby. But I also don't
Hmm.
look at other people and be like, hey, I don't look at Woody. I don't look at Woody Triple Two and be like, hey, he has all his army builders. I have to compete with him because I'm a bigger YouTuber. No,
Hmm.
no, no. Like that is out of my price range, and that's perfectly fine. Um, a lot of people don't have that ability. And
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen the people in the community that, you know, it's like, are you paying your car payment? Are you like, or are you like saying, oh, I need to have this because it came out? No, no, you don't need to. Um,
Yeah.
and I try and express that and say that as much as possible. Yeah. Hi, it's me says, don't try and keep up with Woody. No, I don't even get
No.
delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. It's wild. Again, the first lie we tell ourselves are, I just want to get back what I had when I was a kid.
Yes.
Right? That's the first lie we tell ourselves. Then it's, I just want to complete X, whether it's a sub team. Then it becomes, all right, I'm this far into it. Well, I'll just do this one line. Um, but
That sounds
it
like a Coke
becomes other
addict
things.
too.
It does. I'm just going to do this
Just
one
do
line.
one line.
Just one line. But you are right. It is a certain personality type, because it isn't just one line, one particular type of thing. Like We talked about the vinyl thing. That is something I've always done in small quantities because, I could never A, afford it, or B, store it or play it even when you had smaller kids. But I enjoy having that physical media. So I collect vinyl. Um, I collect flannel shirts.
Didn't have that on the bingo card. Flannel shirts.
There you go. Yeah. So if you've never heard of the company, it's called Dixon. They do limited edition flannels. So like I have the Social Distortion one. They do bands. They do
Okay.
things like that that go with like an album. Um, so yeah, and they're comfy and they're very comfy. So, and living in a colder climate, that's what I'm wearing like 9 months out of the year. I'm wearing flannel and thermal stuff. So.
So yeah, so you're not just, I mean, you're collecting it obviously because we have a mentality. I think we all can agree with that. But it's also, you're also using it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it is not sitting in a bag somewhere. It gets worn out.
And again, so it serves an actual purpose, pretty much
Mhm.
unlike our toys, but all right. So you got into collecting.
Mhm.
I couldn't even imagine getting into classified in 24 and then trying to complete. I don't even know what got me into it, to be 100% honest. Zero Zero Snake Eyes was actually, I got in when Wave One was out, and the only
Mhm.
figure that I've ever spent aftermarket money that I've bought aftermarket was Destro, and that was like $30. It was early
Mhm.
on, and I've actually only seen Destro, I think, twice at actual retail. Um, I think it was the only two times, but I spent like 33 bucks. The only time I ever bought one aftermarket. So I couldn't imagine trying to chase it because it's, even though some of the stuff people love the clearance chicken, that early stuff is not cheap anymore. It's
No.
so
Mm-mm.
you get into it, you're collecting. Where do you see it going from here? Now, like you're doing YouTube now. Where do you see a YouTube channel going? Like what are you trying to accomplish?
So I know now what I do not want to be because I think it was important for me to do different things up to this point. I tried doing the review thing. There's 100 people doing reviews that do it way better than I do. Don't want to do reviews, right? Um, I do a thing called Sunday Fun Day, where a group of people get together. We talk about the culture around collecting. We talk about what we're doing and where we're headed. And it lasts for about an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and it's once a week. And that's what I do. Sometimes if I get a wild hair about something going on in the collecting thing, I'll make a video. But I think that what I wanna do, is kinda show off what I'm working on, the story. I think it's going to become more about the story I'm trying to tell, and I
Okay.
think that's where I'm headed. Sunday Funday will always be what it is, about getting the group together, and then I will tell my story in video drops on the channel through pictures.
And so that is something I always tell people. Uh and it's stuff that I've heard from other YouTubers, and I'm not talking toy tubers, other
Mhm,
YouTubers, that it's like take stuff from people you enjoy, but don't mimic them because
mhm,
there's already that one person doing it. Mr.
yeah,
Beast, I saw a thing with him, and he said there's a guy that literally verbatim copies everything that I do because I don't understand it, um, because someone's already doing it.
mhm,
Take things that you like from certain people and then make it your own because that's what people want to see.
mhm.
And I said, if you want to do reviews, and I'll be honest, like I know people think like when you're doing reviews, it's because you're getting shit for free. You're not. Like I have been to 7 Walmarts today. To 7 Walmarts to seven, yeah, 7 Walmarts today. No, wait, four today, three yesterday, I think. Looking for this action because I knew it was there because it was populating in their system. I finally found someone. I finally found someone that would go in the back and get it for me. All right. I didn't pay extra for it. Now again, I'm working, so I have time to stop when I drive by a Walmart, different things like that. You don't get a lot of free shit, whether people believe it or not. It's not the easiest thing because when you're trying to stay ahead, and you are, I'm not gonna lie about that. You look at JoJo Classified, and normally you're gonna see me, Bobby B, and Shark Guys are usually the first three. And I'll be honest, I'm way behind B and Shark right now. Like they're so
Mm-hmm.
far ahead, but it's not for everyone. And it's hard to break into where people want to watch it. But like something what you're doing, like you have created a story. So the same as when like Operation Monster Force, you know, they tell their story. They do like a Thursday stream every, I don't know when they do it, but it's on Thursdays. I'm usually busy on Thursdays. I can't watch. But they create a story for theirs. And I think people would love to watch what you're doing, because you're not just like showing off like what you did. Like there's a lot of like customizers, they're showing off what they're doing, and I think it's awesome because it gives people ideas. But
Mm-hmm.
creating a story and then explaining your story is awesome, because I don't think enough people are doing that. I don't know if anyone's really doing that, because you said, hey, this is all GI Joe, but like you said, Cobra, like they went in trying to find stuff to make Serpentor, and they knocked over a tomb, and they released the Forgotten King. And now
Yeah.
you're able to take some of what Operation Monster Force is doing, but
Mm-hmm.
turn it into a GI Joe thing, which I think is awesome. Like, and it's something that
Yeah.
people are going to tune. And again, I watch shit that has AI speaking, which I absolutely hate. You know, when you see the AI and you hear the AI and you're like, I wonder if there's the AI, and then they get to like the ICE agents and they say the ICE. I
Yeah.
recently watched the rise and fall of Kmart, and they kept
Mm-hmm.
talking about the ICE machine, and I'm like, the ICE machine,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you know it's
Mm-hmm.
it's AI generated.
Yeah. Yeah.
A Lady Spartan says, as Joe would say, you have a disease.
Yes.
In many ways,
That's
it
what we call it.
is. I just say I have problems. Like and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Right?
On Sundays we call it the disease, when just you got to be able to control it and manage it. So
Yeah. OICE. Yes. Yeah. The icy. It's.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
But again, it was information on Kmart and the rise and fall of it, which is actually very. Again, I find it amusing and very knowledgeable. But when you're saying ICE, there was another one that
Mhm.
I forget what it was, and as I was listening to it, I'm like, did I just say that? And then I heard it again. And I was like, oh, it's AI. There was a
Yeah.
commercial for it was some gaming thing, and it's clearly a black guy's voice,
Mhm.
and he's going through it, and he's talking about the Tony Hawk game and how like there's like how there's a competition. And he says, and it says Tony Hawk's remastered uh 1+2, because it's Tony Hawk's 1 and 2,
Yeah.
but no
Yeah.
one would ever say 1+2. And every time I'd
No.
hear it, I would just laugh, because I'm like, you couldn't even get a real person to read this for 30 seconds.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's and you were kind of talking about where I see things going on. Every other Wednesday I do a podcast from the pit night shift with Casey,
Mhm.
whom you've had on. And that's something newer that he started. and it's just kind of a little bit of a departure. Like Saturday mornings is their, kind of
Yep.
family friendly, oriented one, and then the night shift is a little bit different. So, so
He
I'll
talked
help
to me
him
about
out
that.
wherever I can.
Yeah, we talked about that when he came on the show, and he said that they wanted to do like a 6:30 show. And I'm like, on Tuesdays, and he was like, no, not Tuesdays.
No, sir.
Again, like it's difficult, and I tell everyone like if I probably should have stopped telling people because I kept telling people like, hey, if Monday at 9 p.m. is when you want to go live is the only time, then you don't worry that it's at the same time. I shouldn't have told people that because I feel like everyone's doing Monday at 9 now. Uh, that's okay. I have Tuesdays and Thursdays and sometimes Friday. I'm not too much to begin with. Um, but no, yeah, he told me about that, and I think that's cool that it's kind of branching out, and there's people will hear me say it. I talk about branding all the time. Like you really are branding yourself, and
Mhm.
I am a firm believer that when you establish yourself and people know your logo, you don't change it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
still look at the new stupid Dodge logo and I'm like, what the hell is that? All right. And I'm a Mopar guy, right? But I'm like, what the hell is that? Chrysler seems to change their logo all the time. And Dodge lost theirs when they had Ram split off. So then they took the Ram, right? So it's like, all right, well, Ram's obviously going to take the Ram. But it's like, you don't want to see the Pentastar change from Mopar. That used to be Chrysler,
Yeah.
but that's and Chrysler still does use it, but it's more for Mopar. But Chevy has,
Mhm.
we know what Chevy looks like. We know the Ford Oval. When you brand, like when you figure something out, you don't change your name, you don't change your logo. You do that stuff when it's no longer working, and you need to make something different because it goes a long way. That logo of mine is in all my thumbnails. Now
Mhm.
there's two ways to look at it. It is there are people that will watch almost anything that I put out, and I appreciate that. But then there are other people that might just see that instantly and go, "Yep, not gonna watch that," and that's fine because you know what's gonna happen. Even if I didn't put that on there, they're gonna click it on. They're gonna see me, and in the first 10 seconds, gonna go, "Yeah, I don't like this guy." You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and Pop Blender here saying, the logo is crucial. You are correct, but it's more again, in my opinion, it's once people know it. In a toy kind of mood,
Yeah.
he changed his out of nowhere, and I remember I talked to Tony. I'm like, why would he change it? Like he knew what it was.
Mhm.
Like people knew what it was. Now I see it. I'm like, what the what? Oh, okay, that's what it is. Uh, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Matthew says, "You're welcome. Where's my paycheck?" For what? You didn't make that. My daughter made that. I don't remember talking about the logo with you. I'm not saying we didn't. I'm saying I just don't
Yeah.
I don't remember it, Matthew. We talked about a lot of things over the years. Um,
I was gonna say a few, huh?
yeah, we've talked about again. Matthew was the person that when I started doing live streams before I did, I talked to him a lot. He had a lot of good suggestions for me. That's why, like anytime, like if they want to do stuff, um, I'm like, you want to talk? Let me know. I don't gatekeep. I don't. If someone if someone gets more popular than me, I don't care. Like, good for you, man. Like, I say I never cared if someone got better at skateboarding than me. Am I doing the best that I can do? Am I putting in as much effort as either I want to or that I can? Then that's all that I can control.
I look at YouTube as a better way to make friends, honestly. Like
Oh,
I could do Sunday fun day, whether there was, 20 people watching, 0 people watching, it would be just as much fun for me. And the day that I start watching, like I found myself the other week because we were up like up over 30 or something for the first time, and it was wild to me. But I'm like, don't start watching that, because that's not why you're doing this. And the second you start doing that, you're going to find yourself starting to play to things that, what, just do be here with your friends, and if people want to watch, they'll watch.
Yes and no. Yes and no. And what I mean by that is because I used to tell people, I'm like, you should try and do this to create better content and or to
Hmm.
grow your audience. And people would be like, I don't really care. And I'm like, but okay, so understand this, like by doing stuff like this, you're creating better content for your audience. And the
Hmm.
byproduct of that is that more people are going to watch and be like, oh, I really like this. Um, it goes back to, and I've told people, I truly do believe this.
Hmm.
Bodybuilders, most of them don't care about the weight they put up. Putting up heavier weight, the byproduct is you get bigger.
Hmm.
Byproduct of getting bigger is you get stronger. For me, I'd be more than happy to get bigger and never have to put up more weight.
Right.
Not everyone is like that because but like there's a byproduct of that. So as you
Hmm.
grow, and the other thing is talking to more people gives you more talking points.
Hmm.
It gives you more things to talk about. And like you said, you talk about making friends. You hit the 30, then you're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool, but I don't want to look at that. I look at it and I'm like, man, I want to hit 40. And I want to see
Hmm.
40 people. And I want to see 50 people in. I'm with you because I've said before, like this show here is um of my main shows. And again, there's Circle of
Hmm.
Jerks, obviously Monday Night Toy Ramblings, my reviews, and this gets the least amount of views on average. But this is what I'm most proud of because I can't tell you how many people want to come on the show, which I'm like, really? Like that's weird because we're just having a conversation. Um,
Hmm.
but people look forward to it. And I just wanted to talk to somebody and get people to know them and
No.
get to see what they're about. That's what the whole purpose of this was. So I'm more proud of this than any of them. And I know that this is the least viewed of all of them. So I
Hmm.
understand what you're saying. But at the
Yeah.
same time, we were in the 40s, and I'm like, I want to be at 50. I want 50 people to
Yeah.
watch you and get to know your story. And again, in the description, if you haven't yet, if you're not following him, his Instagram and YouTube are both in the description. So please go click on that, hit the like and the subscribe, and do all that, fun stuff that you should have already done. I probably should have mentioned it too. So we're at 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Hmm.
Tell people what you have coming out, what you have going on or coming up.
So let's see. So this Sunday, we're doing Sunday Fun Day. We're discussing music as it pertains to the when when we were playing with our toys. Do you remember the sounds of what was playing in the background when you were a kid? Did your characters have theme songs? Like if you were doing wrestlers, all the wrestlers had theme songs. Did your battles have a soundtrack? When you were flying in with the dragonfly, was it Fortunate Son playing at the time? What was going on in your head? Did you even think about music when you were playing with your Joes? When you're posing, photographing, what kinds of music are you listening to now? Do you find that it is part of your process, your creative process? Uncle Clutch is going to be on with us. He's going to talk about what kind of music he listens to when he's creating his custom figures. So that is this Sunday at 7 p.m. And then on the following Wednesday, a little less than a week from tonight, we're going to be doing podcast from the pit night shift. And I don't know that we have a topic yet, but we still got a ways to go. So,
Coming up with a topic all the time, it's difficult. Um, easier when you have multiple. I'll be honest, it is easier when you have multiple people because you can bounce things. Um, I gotta say, doing it alone, like sometimes, and I mentioned it numerous times. Sometimes I have this great idea for a topic, and then 2 minutes into the topic, I'm like, "Well, I said everything I need to say," and you don't have
Yeah.
someone to bounce, like, be like, "Wow, what about like?"
Mm.
You're like, "Wow, that seems so good." In my like, I was so stoked. I'm in the shower. I'm like, "Oh man, I gotta write this one down because I'm gonna forget it." And then like 2 minutes after I start, I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Yeah. Or if the conversation doesn't quite go the way you had planned, like we at a certain point, you're done. It's covered. And
Yes.
then you keep just circling back around and you're like, okay, this is the second time I've said this. This is the second time he said it, so you're like, okay, I need to end this. We need to, someone needs to pull us out of this dive we're in. So,
And I gotta say, like, for like a circle of jerks, because it is so not serious. It is easy to get away from that because one, if not many of multiple of us are gonna say something so ridiculous when we get to the topic. Half the time we don't know what the
mhm.
topic is. But you guys are more serious. So you're right. Like now it's like, oh man, are we just gonna repeat this? You know, you
Yeah.
don't have someone going, you know what I want? I want to put a jerkalope on here. One
Yeah.
of those rabbits with like crazy horns coming off. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we do have fun. I think as more people come and join us, we invite anybody and everybody. Like if someone's bored on a Sunday, shoot me a message on IG and say, hey, can I drop in on Sunday's show, because it is very casual.
and
The
see, that is so different than me because I'm like, don't ever ask me to come on my show. And that sounds, I know that sounds rude, and I have these weird quirks, but I'm like, you don't ask to go on somebody's show. You wait for somebody to ask you. Now, there's
Mhm.
ways to be like, hey, just so you know, like if you're ever interested, I'd be more than happy to jump on. But when I
Yeah.
get people that message me, and sorry if I'm offending anyone that has messaged me, like I'm like if you're like, hey, I want to come on your show, you're never coming on, right? Just here, here's the punk secret. If you've ever messaged me to tell me, hey, dude, I'd love to come on your show, never gonna have you.
I just gave you an off ramp. You're like, I'm sorry, you must have confused me for Joe Ara. I'm sorry.
And Pop says, I agree. You don't ask. And again, there are ways to approach it and be like, and I've had people be like, hey, just so you know, I would love to do your show if you're ever interested, right? There's other
Yep.
people that are like, hey, I'm free. I'd like to do your show. And it's like, you're still gonna be fucking free. You're more
Yeah.
than welcome to watch it. uh, Matthew says you're not
Oh,
sorry. You're keeping out the syndrome. um, Hell, Geek Punk just crushed the dreams of half the chat here.
someone's in Outlook right now. Unsend, unsend.
uh, and again, I have quirks, man. Like there are people
Yeah.
like you don't come in my chat, and I don't believe you should go in anyone's chat and promote your own thing. Hey,
Yeah.
did you see my review? Hey, I have my live stream starting, after the whoa, 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 whoa. If I see you and I like your content, I will
Hmm.
promote it. Now, way different if I'm in your chat and someone says, hey, I just saw your latest review is awesome. Oh, hey, thanks a lot. And if they start asking me, like, okay, if someone's
Hmm.
asking questions, that's fine. Like you're now having a conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't go in
Yeah.
people's chat and be like, hey, have you checked out Monday Night Toy Ramblings? No, because I'm here watching these people. I
Yeah.
don't care about your shit. I'd go find it. But when you're
Yeah.
in people's chat and you're talking, eventually someone goes, this guy's talking a lot, and wait, that person asked about his review. You know what? I'm gonna go check it out. That's how you
Hmm.
do it. Now, other
Yeah.
people are like, I don't care. People can come in and promote their stuff. I'm like, that's good for you. Don't do it on mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I can appreciate where you're coming from. Keep that on your side of the fence. Get off my lawn.
And so Heli Geek says, I've only ever mentioned content in chats when it pertains to the topic being discussed, and that's okay too. But I'm not
Hmm.
promoting it or dropping the links. No, and well, first off, I'll tell you what, you can't drop links in here. Only the moderators can. And again, I know
Hmm.
you're not. And again, if it pertains to the topic, or somebody asks you, or someone, and again, that's those are my rules. It doesn't mean it's
Hmm.
everyone's rules, because like you
Yeah.
said, you're like, hey, you know what, shoot us a link, and or shoot us a message and we'll give you a link.
Yep.
And
Doesn't mean
that's
everybody's
awesome
going to
what you
get a
do.
link.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't mean everybody's going to get a link. You know,
See,
it,
like I see.
everybody is welcome to message me if they're free. And then we go through and go, okay, wait a minute, because there are some zealous people in the chat sometimes where you're like, oh, if that's how we type, I can't wait to, not hear how this person speaks. Like, so it does happen. So.
And there is an awful lot, and for a show like this, um, I've never had one where I've never had one that was like a total bomb. There
Mhm.
are people that they want to do a show with people. Oh, I want to do a show like this with you, whatever. I want to, and I'm not saying me, but I'm just saying in general. And I've talked to a lot of hosts that have done this, and they're like, we're 10 minutes in, and this person doesn't want to talk. There's no way to hold
Yeah.
a conversation. Like
Yeah.
like you wanted to come on here. We're supposed to have a conversation, and then you're just sitting there. You can't hold a conversation, and it's one of those things where I take my time and I vet people, and there's a lot of people
Mhm.
that I want to have on, but I haven't
Mhm.
seen how they interact on screen. And then I'll see them
Yeah.
on another show, and I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm gonna reach out to
Yeah.
them. Then there's other people that I'll see, and I'll be like, yep, that ain't happening.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I don't message them and go like, hey, by the way, you're never coming on.
Well, and the one thing I can appreciate about, your content that you do, like Circle of Jerks, is you all don't have the same thing to say about any one thing. Like, if I watch a show and everybody's nodding and going, "Yep, that's exactly what I thought," or "You're right. No, you are absolutely right," that is boring as shit. I don't want to watch that. Like, I want to.
When people would tell me in when people tell me in my real life, they're like, not everyone thinks like you. I'm like, thank God. Like, thank God. Because
Yeah.
I don't want everyone to think like me. First off, it's very unique in my head. I don't know if anyone really wants to be up there. But I see also a lot of other people, and Tony knows, I would never want to be in Travis Moody's head. Fuck that, dude. I don't want to know what goes through that guy's head at times, all right? So it goes both ways, right? Like I, people are supposed to be unique, and you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
You turn on a show and everyone's going, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah," huh? It's like, all right, so there's four people in one opinion. I can I
Yeah.
can I can find that on Monday night with just one guy. Like he does it, and that's his opinion, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, you got to have that give and take, and every
Yeah.
show is going to be different. Like you can have a different. I think we live in a world where people are so worried that if you have a different opinion than the other person, that you're going to fight or not like each other.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not
Yep.
going to talk politics, but we keep seeing it on Facebook. Anyone that's on Facebook keeps seeing it. It's like, oh, if you agree with this party, I can't be friends with you. If you agree with that, like, wow, like, is that where we've devolved in? I mean, that's not evolution. That's devolving.
Yeah.
But we see it all the time, and that's why I
Uh,
say I don't talk politics or religion.
it's just uninteresting, if everything is the same. There are shows out there that at first it looks, you're like, oh, that's kind of neat, and they got some flashy graphics and this, that, and the other thing, but you realize it's a brown stain on a brown shirt,
Yeah,
with a brown wall behind it. It's the same thing, and it's
at least
boring.
it's not a
It
white
gets
wall.
boring.
It's not a white wall behind them.
Ronnie, that one was for you.
If anyone's one, I guess Ronnie doesn't like when Joe sits in front of a white
Yeah.
wall for some reason. It drives him nuts. Which I would
One show
always
I
sit in front of a white wall.
actually, Punk, you can appreciate this. One time, I photoshopped him out of his own picture in his basement room or whatever, his display room, and I put his display room behind me like I was sitting in his house.
Yes, that's the type of shit I appreciate.
Um, what made it worse was he had won a breaker in a giveaway that I had done, and I found out that it was like 4 times the cost to ship it to Australia as the figure actually cost. I'm like, I'll just send you money. I'll do, but it became this big joke. If you ever see hashtag breaker19 anywhere where I am, if I'm in the comments and you see Ronnie Trickshot do hashtag breaker19, it's because he didn't get his breaker yet. Um, Fortunately, I gave it to Casey at Zolocon. He's shipping it with a bunch of other stuff to Ronnie. He will eventually give it up. But in that photo of me in Ronnie's basement, I put Breaker up on the shelf, and you wouldn't notice it until later. And I was like, if you notice, Ronnie, Breaker is on your shelf. I don't know what you're belly aching about, but yeah, so
I can see it there, dude. Like, just stop. All
it's
right.
it's clearly right there.
Um. So when when I did the Black Friday giveaway, only one person won. Only one person from Canada won. Everything else was from the U.S. And I said, I'll ship to Canada and the U.S. And it was the last thing that I shipped. And the guy was great. And the guy was awesome because he's like, no, that's cool. I'm like, so I finally I didn't want to sit at the post office. I go to the UPS store. I'll pay a little bit
Mhm.
extra. And it was 3D printed stuff, so it doesn't even weigh that much. And she's like, this is gonna be $84. And I was like, what? And she's like, I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. She goes, but the post office would probably be about $30. I'm like, how do you know that? And she goes, because the service charge was $54. I'm like, what? And she goes, we're just a conduit. Basically, we drop it off at the post office and then do the rest. And I said, so she goes, so if she takes this post office, it'll be about 30. She was dead on. Because I was like, you know what?
Wow.
I was thinking like an extra $10 to be convenient,
Mhm.
you know, so I wouldn't be inconvenienced. I'm like, so I just went to the post office. And then I had to fill out all the forms and I'm like filling out the forms because it's which really drives me nuts. Like it really drives me nuts. And I'm like, I have to fill out all this because it's going over to another country. And I'm like, I'm closer to Canada than any state by a
Mhm.
long shot. I could drive across, I could drive over to Canada and then ship it out. And it'd be a lot less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, kudos. No, and again, I said something to someone the other day. I go, if you would have told me a few years ago that if you would have told me a few years ago that I would say, yeah, I'd rather talk religion than politics, I would have said you're full of shit. But I would rather talk religion with someone than politics these days because nothing good comes from it. But yeah,
Yeah, in real life, I have no problem doing it, but here and amongst friends and doing what we're doing, I just no.
No, and that's just it right there. Like people, and I tell everyone when before we start, I go, anyone that's never been on the show or just we meet about 10 minutes early, make sure sound works and everything. See if there's anything no one wants to talk about. And I tell people, I go, I don't talk religion and I don't talk politics. I also will not ambush you with questions. We know that there are so many toy tubers, YouTubers, and people in general, especially if you watch sports, right? Why don't you ask this question? Well, I'm not asking the Fords why they won't sell the Lions because they're not going to. We already know they're not going to. And eventually they're going to say, you know what? You're not welcome here to cover the team. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm never going to ambush someone with questions. Like, hey, so I saw you talking to this person. He's a piece of shit. Why would you like? I'm not going to ambush that because whatever my feeling is on someone isn't someone else's. Um, but the politics and the religion are the big thing. Like, I won't,
Yeah.
don't have to worry. We don't have to. It's also my way of saying, please don't bring it up.
Mhm.
Please don't bring it up because, and again, if you're like, well, you know what? Hey, I went to Catholic school. I'm very, like, that's who you are, right?
Right.
If you're on here and you're like, yeah, well, I'm Catholic and I really don't appreciate the Jewish religion, then it's going to be like, oh, wait a minute. That's this. We're talking toys, or well, we're talking your life. But I guess if you're a bigot, then you're a bigot. But I'm trying not to have any of them on. I
Yeah.
just like using the word bigot too.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway, it has been. It's after midnight. I know I have to. I think you have to work in the morning too.
I do.
So
I
I
do.
want to say thank you so much. Once again, his Instagram and YouTube is in the description. Tell everyone where they can find you and what is going on quickly. I know we already did already, but
Yeah, sure. One more time for the cheap seats. Sunday Funday is on YouTube Live at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Wednesday, we are the following Wednesday, I'll be on Podcast from the Pit Night Shift. And again, I think that's a 7 p.m. start as well. So
and
just
that
keep an eye out on. Mhm.
is that on their channel or on your channel?
It's on their channel, but I'll be
Okay.
simulcasting anytime I'm on night shift.
Okay. That's there's pros and cons to that.
Hmm. Yep.
But at the stage you're at, it's a major pro, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
So
for
anyway,
sure.
Joe, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to actually getting together and meeting you at Joe Fest. Um,
Same.
little secret: if I give you one word answers, I nod my head. I don't like you. That goes for anyone. Like, I, if Tony's still watching, he's laughing his ass off because I said it so many times. Like, if I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah.
we all don't like each other, right? We live in a world where we all just don't like each other. It's okay. We can all play on the playground, and we get along. Like Pop's laughing his ass off. Like he's. I told people that many like before I ever went to Joe Fest. I'm like, yeah, if I'm doing this, like, it's kind of it's okay. It's all right. Like, I'm gonna, hang out. We can talk a little bit, but anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Go down into the links, hit subscribe, like, do all the fun stuff. Help grow his
and,
channel.
and thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I've watched you for a while now, and it was a great time. So thank you.
Well, again, I appreciate it, and you're welcome. Again, it's great to get to talk to new people, get to know them a little bit. It's always easy. I've said it before. It's usually easier to talk to somebody you don't know than somebody you do know because those people you have to kind of you'll ask them a question and they're like, "You already know this." I'm like, "Yeah, I know that," but the people watching don't. That's why I was trying
Yeah.
to force you this way. Anyway,
Hmm.
Joe, thank you. We will see you guys all. If you are a channel member, we are doing Punk's Pit tomorrow at 10 p.m. I did the thumbnail. I just haven't I just haven't created this to stream for it. Take care, guys.
Nice.